All right, what's going on today, chat? What is going on? It is that time. We are finally back with another week of grade review, episode 13. Lucky or unlucky 13, however you see it. So, for those of you who are joining here for the first time, welcome. My name is Galaxia Gaming, and in this stream, we do what's called a grade review. So, community members that have joined the Discord will submit their cards for free to be reviewed live during the stream to give a general sense on what the card would come back as a PSA grade. This is a completely free service. This is something that I like to offer to the community as something free and just have an ability for those who might be worried about getting cards graded, or worried about what they would come back as, or just hesitant to do so. This is an opportunity for you to get your cards graded live. So as I kind of prepare here, Zubair, welcome. Let's get it. Yes. Betty, thanks so much for taking a pause of Overwatch to come hang out. Appreciate you. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So first up, we have Chris96 with a little bit of a waifu lineup here. So as always, we have to consider, there's Poke with the tiny dinies as usual. Thank you so much. And welcome. Hopefully you normally drive around this time if I remember correctly. So welcome, kick back, relax, listen to the sound of my voice. Cole, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. All right, so let's review this Rosa. So as a review, the big four criteria that we like to look for is centering, corners, edges, and surface. So the first thing I like to look for on the front is the centering. So right off the bat, you can see that this right side is much thicker than the left. So you're probably already looking at an 8 score for centering, but we still have to look at the corners and edges as well. So corners look good, left edge looks good, bottom left corner looks good, bottom right corner looks good, as well as the top right corner. So far, so good. The only things that I see, and I don't think that they're actually part of the card itself, is we do have a black dot here where the tip of my mouse is, as well as kind of near her armpit right here. So we have two black dots that we have to deal with. So this is going to impact the surface a little bit. So let's flip it over. And so when we look at the back, we also see some centering issues as well. So we see some on the left. So again, this border is a little bit thicker than the right. As we kind of go around, we do see some whitened corners on the top right, the top left. Let's see. We do have some whitening in the bottom left-hand corner as well, where the tip of my mouse is. But overall, it's really the surface, the corners, and the centering that's really holding this Rosa back. The only surface issue that I saw on the front were these two dots, but... So one of the things that we like to do in this stream is I'm going to start a poll. So there should be a poll that's active in the top left-hand corner of your device. And if you want to weigh in on what you think as chat this card would get graded, we can kind of do an average. So this is the front of the Rosa, and this is the back. So again, a poll should be active on your device if you want to weigh in on what you think this card would get graded. And then while you do so, I'll catch up with chat because I see you guys commenting in here. Yeah, Ooze, I'm definitely gonna try. We're definitely in for the long haul. We're gonna be on from 7 to 10, so 3-hour stream. So we're just starting. Do you recommend where people should get items graded, like whether it's Black Label ready or send a PSA? So Black Label ready, you basically have to have. I would say the main thing that holds people up is you really have to have 50-50 ratio for centering, as well as immaculate condition, immaculate corners and edges. But I think the biggest thing that trips people up is not having that exact 50-50 ratio. So if you don't have that exact 50-50 ratio, but it's like 51-49, definitely send it to PSA to get that 10. That's my recommendation. Kirby, how do I submit mine? I have Mizaki Alakazam, and I don't know whether to keep it raw or send. Kirby, yeah, so... nope, this is a free service. This is something I like to provide to the community for free. Again, this isn't a guaranteed grade, mind you. I really gotta emphasize that, but at the end of the day, I like to show what graders are going to be looking for as well. So this is just your opportunity to have your cards assessed live and have the community weigh in on what they think it's going to be as well. So again, this is a completely free service. There's no monetary value that I get. I just honestly like to see other people's cool collections and just give some insight on what I like to look for. I've been grading cards since 2017, and I just kind of weigh in on my on my expertise and just experience with it. LX, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. All right, so the poll is done. So on average, we have PSA 8 from chat. So what do I think this Rosa would get? So again, the big thing that stands out to me is the centering. This right side much thicker than the left. The corners and edges I'm not really worried about. The only thing that I am worried about though is the surface. So we have one dot right there and then one dot right there where my mouse was. So let's flip it over. Again, the same thing kind of going on here. Thicker on the left than it is on the right. We do have a little bit of whitening on that top right-hand corner as well as the bottom left-hand corner. And again, the centering on the left is much thicker than the right. So I would say with everything going on, especially with these two surface stains, in addition to the whitening on the corners as well as the centering, I would probably assume that this Rosa would get a 7, would be my guess. So chat says 8, which is understandable because, you know, at the time of voting, you can only really see the front unless someone asks me to flip it. But I think it'll probably get a 7. All right, but a beautiful card nonetheless. So next up is an old school Skyla. So as I get this ready, I canceled all my other Pokemon streams to watch Galaxia the Go. I appreciate you, Poke. Thanks so much. Yes, Project. This is what's nice. It's nice. It is nice when the person that has submitted their cards is actually in stream, because sometimes there's some stuff that we really can't tell with the picture, and then you can kind of clear it for us, which is really cool. Where would I send the picture? So Jonas, if you go to my profile and see this thumbnail, so it should be a pinned video called Grade Review and How To. It's a 45-second video. Just give that a watch, and you'll have all the instructions on how to get there from there. And Betty is nice enough. She's one of the moderators in the chat. She just pinned how to get there as well. So if you have any issues, feel free to watch that video. Can you move it down a little? All the goals and such are in the way of the top right corner stuff. Yeah, it's tough. That's one of the things that I'm not a big fan of with how TikTok does their streaming. They put a lot of bloat on the screen, but thank you for letting me know. Hopefully that is a little bit better. Again, live streaming on TikTok doesn't give you a lot of real estate, unfortunately. So hopefully that Zubair, if that helps out a little bit, just let me know. You have not missed a Moonbryon. All right, so Skyla. So this one is a lot better centering than the Rosa that we just saw before. Corners also look very clean. And again, I've said it in past streams, and I'll say it again here. You really have to be careful with cards that have this degree of texturing. You really want to make sure that no scratches or dirt is kind of hidden within that texture. So let's take a quick look with this little magnifying tool that I have. Let's see. So we do have some scratching in the text box of Skyla, so you can kind of see right between where my mouse is. You can kind of see some right there, also right here. So that's going to impact the surface a little bit. And as I'm kind of looking around, nothing really standing out other than that. Maybe this on the glove. This little white blemish, I'm not too sure. Unfortunately, the back is definitely going to take it away a little bit. So the centering is actually pretty good on the back, but we can obviously see some scratches here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See a lot of those here. A lot of whitening on these corners, right? So this whole right corner is completely whitened. We have some edge wear here, edge wear on the top, a lot of edge wear on that left corner. edgeware on the left, some white dots, some whitening in the bottom left. So pretty much around the entire card is just whitened, essentially. Kevin, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you. So yeah, this card on the back, unfortunately, is just falling victim to a lot of whitening and surface wear and edge wear. But let's leave it to chat vote. So let me restart the poll. So a new poll should be active. So again, this is the front of the Skyla. So some of the notable things, because it might be a little bit tough on stream, so I'll kind of highlight. We have some scratches here in the text box, as well as the back. Honestly, I'm going to just kind of keep the back in focus a little bit more for you guys to see and vote on, because that's where most of the damage is. So while you guys are voting, I'm going to catch up with chat. Yeah, it's tough, Zubair, because like some people honestly don't even know about the like shifting to just like the clean page, but to your point, people like to see the chat, right? So it's a nice feature. But yeah, I just wish there wasn't a lot of bloat, more so towards the top. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. Sometimes the texture could also be flattened. Yeah, I can see that too, Betty, if you're just kind of pressing it in. Josh, I haven't assessed any Moonbryons yet. It's probably in the queue somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Oh, saying Black Label right off the rip. Manny, do I have a cleaning card service? It is. I'm going through a trial run with a few community members that have been pretty active in the community so far. That service has definitely been asked numerous times. I really want to offer it, but I'm really trying to do my best with figuring out the logistics. So I'm having a few people test what I think is correct and then get their feedback. So hopefully soon. And Manny, what I would do to the card is pretty much everything besides using any card wax. I actually have a tweet that is proof that the PSA CEO himself has tweeted that any chemicals or any additions to the surface of cards is severely frowned upon. So I don't do anything that would be considered an alteration, which I include as card wax. So, but yeah, normally I would just use like a Q-tip, some distilled water. I'm trialing using a humidor to try to flatten out some dents or dings, but that's about it. All right. So, Van, thanks so much for following the live. I appreciate you very much. Yes, and microcloths. Yep. All right. So, poll has ended. So we got an even split between 7 through 4. So I'm imagining, I don't think most people would say that this was so I'm going to say chat's probably 6 to 4 instead, because I don't think anyone would consider those 4 scratches as near mint. So I'll just kind of give chat benefit of the doubt and say 6 out of 4. So what do I think this Skyla will get? So again, really the only thing that I see on the front, centering, corners, and edges are really good. It's just the surface scratches near the text box that I see. So there's about 4 of them and a little white blemish on the glove, but I don't really see anything else in the texturing. So if we flip it over, this is where most of the damage is, right? Whitened corners, whitened edges, essentially all 4 corners and sides of this card. In addition, we see almost like 4 or 5 scratch lines, pretty predominant to the left of the P in Pokemon. So I would think with all of this damage, if there was any crease anywhere to be found, I would probably even say a 4. But since I don't see any and the surface looks pretty decent just from this, again, it's only looking at one picture, both one on the front and one on the back, I would probably have to say a 5 would be my guess. Famine thinking instant 10. You're definitely everyone's preferred PSA grader for sure. But let's see. So this one's going to be interesting. So this one is a crimp. So before I get into that, and it's a staff promo, which is pretty cool. Kevin, what you do a card cleaning and submission? Yes, very soon. I'm trialing it right now. Hopefully I can offer that soon. Yeah, Manny, thanks so much for joining the community. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. And again, I appreciate anyone who has liked and shared and followed the live as of now. Again, what I do in these streams is a completely free service. In terms of stuff that I am streaming, there will be some paid services down the line, but I'll be very transparent about what those are. But grade reviews of this kind will always be free. So I appreciate that feedback because it lets me know that the community enjoys this style of content. Because I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I don't really do rip and ships. I don't handle like selling sealed packs in that regard. I am a vendor at the end of the day. I do this as a small business, but most of it is in person and very little of it is online sales. Hopefully to ramp that up, but yeah, in the meantime, I just like to offer my experience and my 2 cents on a lot of stuff. So I definitely appreciate that feedback, and I appreciate you guys hanging around and sticking along with the journey. So I appreciate it. Let's see. Can I send a picture of a card that's already graded and see what you would have graded it? Yeah, Ooze, I think the best way, honestly, would be either you can send them yourselves, or if the grade is recent, you can just take a screenshot of the card that PSA scanned, and just omit the PSA code. You can also go about it that way, because those images are very high resolution. Josh, I said 5, and then chat grade was 6 to 4, because the back of it was pretty beat up. But luckily, it didn't have any creases, nor did the surface of the front look bad. So I was probably saying a 5. For me, personally. Ooze, you just said I wouldn't share the original grade, and then you tell me I got a 6. Come on now. But regardless, I'll still look at it for sure. You spoiled me, my man. You spoiled me. All right. So this one is going to be interesting. So the Lugia Vivid Voltage Staff promo. So with modern cards, I tend to go pretty quick. Oh, okay. Gotcha, Ooze. So normally with modern cards, I tend to go pretty quick because it's assumed that you didn't open the pack and then immediately chuck it down a flight of stairs. So really the only thing that I like to look for is just centering and whiten corners and edges. But the big thing that I can tell is, and you guys can probably tell as well, is this crimp all on the bottom of the card, right? So if we flip it over, you can also see it very, very clearly on the bottom that this whole part is crimped. So I try to establish my brand as trust through transparency. Me personally, I have never graded a card that has had a crimp. I've seen them. I obviously know that they exist. But my opinion is I don't know if PSA specifically would consider this an error, or if it would just consider it as damage. I really don't know. I've never been interested in crimped cards. Me personally, I don't see these as an error. I would say like an off-center cut. That's kind of like where you're kind of drawing that line on what you consider as an error versus what you consider as just damage. Like a miscut, or I don't know, like a print error where 2 cards are kind of merged together, right? Is that technically damaged? Yes, but some people would say that it's more of an error than a damage, so it shouldn't grade as such. Pokerev error cards, they are an error. I have one, a PSA 9 error. Gotcha. So if you're saying that the crimp, so if the crimp is considered an error by PSA, then I would probably say for this one, because again, I only really like to look at modern really quickly. Centering looks decent. I don't see anything wrong with the centering on the front and the back. Really, the only thing I see is just this white blemish up top. So I'm thinking it's considered an error. Okay. So I would say with the whitening, both here and by my mouse, unless this can kind of get rubbed off, but there is some whitened corners here, I'd probably say this would get an 8, would be my guess. All right. Let's see. So next is the Kalili from Sun and Moon. So, Kaili from Sun and Moon. So let's take a look. So centering from bottom to top is a little thick. The left and right look pretty good. Now the only thing that I think it's, again, we really have to be careful with like the texturing of this card because you can see it on the edges. And you can kind of see it in her hair, but I don't know if these are scratches in that top left-hand corner or not. I'm not too sure. But she is going for birdie, that's for sure. I don't see anything else. I think this black dot is part of the card, I believe. So let's flip it over. So on the back, the centering on the back looks actually pretty good. This might be a smudge, but I'm not too sure. That might be lighting. I'm not really too sure what that is. But the right side maybe is very, very slightly thicker than the left, but that's kind of splitting hairs. But the corners are actually really nice, which is great. So yeah, there's really not much to unpack here, honestly, because I just think with the centering from the bottom to the top and then how clean the back is, I'd probably say that this centering alone would probably get you an 8, would be my guess. Just because this bottom part is so much thicker than the top. Like obviously so. So I'd probably think that probably drop you down to an 8, would be my guess. Josh, are we guessing PSA grades? So basically all I do in these streams, Josh, is I review people's cards in their raw form. There have been some that we reviewed that have been graded, but not as many. We review cards in their raw form just to kind of give you an idea on what we think it would get graded as. Instead of you having to feel that you need to spend, $20, $30, $40, $50 to submit a card to PSA only to have it come back as, a grade you don't want. Where in this, which is a completely free service that I just like to provide to the community, that this is a way that we, say, hey, we think that this would get an 8. And then I'll show you, talking about centering, corners, edges, and surface. I've graded thousands of cards. I've been doing it since 2017. So, and I've also keep track of my accuracy as the years progress. I started doing that more so in like 2021, 2022. But I like to continue improving on what my accuracy is when it comes to grading cards. So I just like to translate that into just, educating the community and just looking at some cool cards at the end of the day. Jay-Z, so for you and anyone else that's interested in joining the grade review, just go to my profile. There's a pinned video called Grade Review and How To. Just give that a watch. It'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to join the Discord to submit your cards for free for a future grade review. So again, it's the thumbnail you see on screen right now. Just give that a watch, and all the instructions are there too. All right. So thank you to Chris. Thank you so much for submitting your cards. Those were really nice. The Rosa and the Skyla were nice little treats, trick or treats. So now we are on to one of Killjet's, which is a Lucario. So from 2007. So one of the things I see right off the bat, and I don't know if anyone else is a sucker, I love swirl patterns. I think I am such a sucker for swirl patterns. So that's always nice to see. Centering on this card, again, kind of a little bit thicker on the bottom than it is on the top. The left and right look pretty good though. And I'm not seeing any scratches or print lines or anything like that. This might be actually one, now that I kind of see it to the left of my mouse. But not too bad. So let's flip it over. And there's going to be... Some of you on the stream might see these like white dots. I want to say that, because just how they look, I don't know if that's by the camera taking the photo or that's actually printed on the card. I have no idea. I really have no idea. It looks like a camera issue, but I could be wrong. I have no idea. I'm just going to assume that it's a camera issue because I don't think Killjet is in the stream because they could kind of clarify, which is nice. Like if I'm doing a grade review and the people are in here, they can kind of verify for us. But I'm assuming just based off of how consistent they are, and I've never seen this as like a print issue, and it doesn't look fake. The card doesn't look fake to me. I'm going to assume that it's a camera issue. The big notes is just a lot of whitening on this left edge. In the top left-hand corner, the sides, and that bottom left, bottom right. And a lot of little white specks along the surface of the card. So we definitely have some things kind of taking us back here. So while I catch up with chat, I started a poll on the top left-hand corner of your device if you want to weigh in on what you think this card would get graded. So here is the front of the Lucario, and there is the back. I'll keep it on the back because more of the damage is on the back than it is on the front. So let me kind of zoom in here real quick as much as I can without getting anything too cut off. And while you guys vote, and I can flip it over too if anyone wants to see. But I'm a huge sucker for swirls. Nice. Yeah, I am too. A lot of people like, some people like collecting black labels, other people like collecting swirl patterns. That's how I see it. Awesome, Chris. Thanks so much. Appreciate you stopping by again. Yeah, Famine. Hopefully you don't click that PSA 10 one more time. RQ and Rampage, thanks so much for following the live. I appreciate that. And I did see a few people liking the stream as well. I appreciate that as well. Again, liking the live and sharing it is definitely good feedback for me as a small content creator to know that you guys like this stuff. So it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Just got off work and decided to chill. That's cool. Yeah, one of the things I'm hoping to do, but I want to make it more of like a goal of mine to a certain milestone, is to do cross streaming. But as of now, if I really want it to be at the quality that I want, it's pretty expensive per month. So I gotta hit a measurable goal to make it worth that. Awesome, Rampage. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is a completely free service that I like to offer to the community. You know, I don't see a lot of people doing this style of content. It's just a lot of like rip and ships, at least on my profile. But you know, I just like to just give people, you know, an opportunity just to have their cards reviewed and whatnot. Once I'm done RQ, or once I'm done with this card, I'll go through my little elevator pitch. Just give me 1 second. All right, so chat thinks that this would get between a 7 and a 6. All right, so what do I think this Lucario would get? So the only thing that I see on the front is just a little bit off center from the bottom to the top, but not too bad. Also, I have a very, very slight scratch from the one picture that I can see right here, but nothing too crazy. But it's really the back that's going to start taking away some points. So the big areas of focus is the top and left and right edges. I don't really see anything on the bottom. And as well as all four corners have some degree of whitening. And for those of you who are watching, these dots, I'm imagining is from a picture issue, not on the card itself, because I personally have never seen an error of that degree. So I'm going to ignore or not count that as any particular error. I just think that it's a picture error. So the amount of whitening on the corners and edges and some of these white specks along the surface of the card, I don't think this would get the 7. I probably think that it would get a 6, in my opinion. So the Lucario, my grade would be a 6, and then chat grade would be a 7 or 6. So we are pretty much spot on, chat. So good job. Have I figured out the TikTok bot yet? So there is one that I saw, Chris, that I didn't really like how many permissions I had to grant it. And it kind of sketched me out a little bit. So I kind of refrained from from moving forward with that one specifically. But Jay Swiggy, thanks so much for sharing the live. Appreciate it. And Jin the Omen, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. I'd have to look back, Chris. Yeah, a lot of the bots that I kept looking at are just like they basically need full access to your main account, which I did not like at all. I think right now with the amount of scams that are happening, and how much work I've put into like building this community, the last thing that I ever want to do is introduce a risk to community members to have like, hey, like, oh, Galaxia's like big thing is like trust through transparency, and now all of a sudden he's offering like Bitcoin. You know, I don't. It's a risk I'm not willing to take. You know, if I have to say how to do grade review 17 times in a row, which I totally don't mind, by the way, so be it. So yeah, so for those of you who are wondering how to get into the grade review, the picture that you're seeing on screen right now is a pinned video on my channel called Grade Review and How To. So if you give that a watch, it's about a 45-second video. It'll give you all the detailed instructions on how to get to the Discord, how to submit, and what the submission criteria are. I will say, just for transparency, I did see a few people saying that they posted and wondering when I'll assess them. There is a queue system. I did get some feedback based off of a recent poll that I asked the Discord to weigh in on, like what things are we doing well, where can we improve, and one of them being to limiting 5 cards per person per stream. So for example, Civic, which is the next one, had a ton of really cool like Japanese alt arts, but submitted like 20 of them. So we're just reviewing 5 at a time. So we reviewed 5 last week, so now we're reviewing 5 this week. So just so that someone doesn't get buried, because again, it's a free service, but I want to have everyone have an opportunity to get their cards assessed as soon as I can. So anyone that is wondering, you know, like when your cards will be graded, just know that it is just me that does this. I schedule these. It's only a 3-hour stream. I schedule these every Wednesday. So if I don't get to yours right away, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it. It doesn't mean that I don't see it or ignoring it or think that it's not a card to show. It's just simply I want to try to give everyone the same opportunity as much as I can. So I appreciate the patience. Yeah, Chris, I think so too. You know, I got a lot of feedback again from the and for those of you who still like, the poll is still active. I think it's somewhere. I think I have it pinned in the grade review channel. So if you want to kind of weigh in on your thoughts as well on where we can improve, that survey is still active. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Because I just didn't want one person to essentially hijack the entire stream. I appreciate the love. Like, I honestly, like, if you were to ask me if this was gonna blow up as much as it did, I wouldn't really believe it, because it's really hard, especially on TikTok, right? With like informative content doesn't really do well on average. So I was actually surprised that I am getting a lot of feedback, but at the same time, there's not a lot of people that offer this kind of like informative content for free. I think is the big reason why I think it's like resonating with so many people, because people are just expecting like, hey, you know, join my Patreon and I'll pay me like $20 a month for me to look at your cards and tell you what I think they're going to get. I don't know. I just see it as like, you guys are the homies, right? And if a homie comes to me and asks me, hey, what do you think this card would get? I'm not going to have an iPad out with like give me a tip. You know what I mean? So, Chris, I did the poll, the one you posted. Oh, nice. Yeah, and I think you did one too, right, Wicked? I think you entered in. But I'm gonna submit some eBay ones before I buy. As long as they fit the criteria, honestly, you're more than welcome to. And if they're legitimate. You know, if you want to use the grade review to review potential cards that you want to purchase on eBay, as long as they meet the criteria, there's really I have no problem with it. You know, if you're thinking about buying them. Might play some F1 sim racing. Oh, nice. Watching a stream and driving. That's good. As long as it's virtual. All right, so let me keep on keeping on. So again, the modern stuff I tend to go pretty fast on, because I'm assuming most of you don't open up your packs again on a flight of stairs, then immediately throw them down the stairs if they're a good hit. I can't really tell what people do when their cards are not good. I'm sure you'll throw them down the stairs, but for those that are not bad, I'm assuming you don't. So I'm really just looking for centering and white edges. So this Illustrator Rare Deoxys. Centering looks pretty good on the front as well as the back. I think this would be maybe just by, I don't know if it's just by the angle. This left side looks a little bit thicker than the right. So if that is true, probably a 9. In addition, there are some little white specks on the back, but I think you could probably just get rid of those with a microfiber cloth. So I think this Deoxys would get a 9. Next is the Suicune Alt Rare. That right side might be a little bit thicker. I'm not too sure. But if it's not, then that looks pretty good. This one might be a 9 or a 10. The Lucario. I don't know if the top looks thicker than the bottom or not. I'm not too sure. Maybe a little bit, but again, the angle might be taking some of that away. But that centering's again very good, very clean. I'd say 9, 10 contender here as long as that top part isn't off center. Let's see. The bottom looks a tad bit thicker on this one, legitimately, than the top. It's a little bit easier to tell, I think. So this one might get a 9. And then lastly, centering on this actually looks really nice on the front. So let's take a flip over on the back. And centering looks good on that one too. So this one might be a good 9-10 contender as well. Left whitening on the Lucario. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Japanese cards are extremely shiny for sure. Just wondering, do modern cards depend on centering? Yeah, Chris, really the big thing, because that's why I kind of like to go pretty fast with the modern cards. Really the big things that I look for is whitened corners and centering. Those are the two biggest things that always stand out to me. In addition to print lines, but print lines are pretty easy to spot most of the time. But if, with the exception of these textured cards for print lines are very, very hard to see if they're even present. So yeah, so thank you, Civic, and actually Civic is in the chat, so appreciate you stopping by as always. One of the OGs of Grade Review. Appreciate you. All right, so we finished. Killjets was the Lucario. Civics we just did. Chris we just did. So let me queue up some next ones. So while I do that, I'm going to just pop that up. Betty also just posted a comment on how to get to the grade review if you're interested in doing so. I also have a screenshot of the pinned video on my channel called Grade Review and How To. If you're interested in getting your cards assessed for free, just watch that video. It's about a 45-second video. It'll give you all the instructions you need, and it's a completely free service. So definitely make sure to check that out. And as always, I see a few people liking and sharing and following, such as Gray Boy. I appreciate the follow. It definitely means a lot. Definitely appreciate it. Because again, I'm not trying to throw shade on Rip and Shippers, but it is nice to provide some extra content for the community that just a live Pokemon stream that doesn't involve just ripping and shipping and having like a QVC for Pokemon. So the feedback of that stuff really means a lot. I really do appreciate it. And Brandon, thanks so much for the follow. So right now I am just queuing up some of the next ones. We got some pretty good cards actually coming up here. So let's see. So we have Lord J. Oh, here we go. Jalen Super Saiyan is up next. You guys can see some sneak peek on what I'm queuing up here. Some really cool Delta species. As if you guys have been here before, I am in love with the reverse hollows from like that era, like Delta species or like Dragon Frontiers, Power Keepers. All that was so cool that they had the set in the corner. Team Rocket Returns was like that as well. Ooh, wow, that one is... I don't mean to spoil that one, but that one is destroyed. Holy... That's crazy. Alright. So again, this is going to be... Make sure that I get this right. So this is Jalen Super Saiyan on Discord. So Jalen, thanks so much for these submissions. And let me first catch up with chat here. Supreme, your streams are awesome and different and exciting. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Yeah, I try to just offer like a cool, like creative, entertaining way of, reviewing cards and weighing in. Yesterday, if you guys missed it, we went in pretty in depth on the recent PSA and eBay partnership. We talked about that for almost an hour because I really think it's important for collectors to understand like what that means both in the short term and the long term. So I like to, again, it's a totally free thing. I'm not paywalling it behind Patreon and like, okay guys, this is what I think is going to happen. I want to give that information out to the community so you guys can make educated, decisions and not be swayed when someone opens up a pack on a live stream and you're like, oh my god, it's going to be a PSA 10. You can buy a house with it. Oh my god. And ring like 50 bells and 50 air horns. Yeah, that ain't me, Chief. So I appreciate the kind words. Nelly and Mr. Big Shot, thanks so much for the follow. Awesome, RQ, I appreciate that. One thing I always found funny is there actually is a market. Yeah, the anti-10 is a real thing, Ooze. I definitely agree. Betty actually is trying to look for a, I think trying to complete a Gengar PSA 1 through PSA 10 collection, I'm pretty sure. The moderator. Magmar, thanks so much for the follow and the like. Thank you. All right, let's get into the Lickitung. All right. So one of the things that I notice right away is the centering. So the right side, a bit thicker than the left, but I'd still probably say that that's like within a 9. So not too bad. We do have some surface gunk. So we see right here the tip of my mouse. So anytime I mention gunk or residue or anything like that, it's implied that most of it can be cleaned with the use of a Q-tip, microfiber cloth, and distilled water. So if you've seen some of my cleaning streams within the last months I've been doing it, you'll know that most of this can be removed and it is not considered an alteration. So as long as you do it and you have enough practice with it, a lot of this removal of like this blemish here, for example, or this one towards the bottom right to the tip of my mouse, all of that can be removed with the Q-tip, microfiber cloth, and distilled water combination, which will result in an improved surface score, which will boost your grade potentially to a higher number, which is always good. So always keep that in mind. Now, for the texture on the Lickitung, it almost seems at first glance they're scratches, but based off of what it looks like from the texture of the whole card, I don't believe they are. So I'm not taking away from that, but it's really just those few dirt marks, both on the top and towards the bottom right. So let's flip this bad boy over. And do see some whitened corners in the top left. Have some on that. We about have 2 on the left edge. Have some in the bottom right. Then we have about 3 or 4 on the right edge. But the top edge is really clean, as well as that right corner. but it's really the left and the right edge and a little bit in the bottom right is where most of that whitening is. But yeah. So again, I see a few new people in here. I'm going to start a poll real quick. So if you want to vote on what you think this card would get, there should be a poll that popped up in the top left of your screen. If you want to tap that and vote, we can do a chat average. So while you guys are voting, I'm going to catch up with chat. I see the chat flying here. Let's see. You have you got the 5, Betty. Nice. Juan, thanks so much for following the live. Can you tell me the percentage of each used water to? I would say, Magmar, the best way, because it's really hard to kind of like measure percentages, right? Like I don't use like an exact measurement, but the rule of thumb that I use is if you were to, like, you can even do this right now. Like if you put your mouth about an inch away from from your wrist and just breathe on it, that condensation of your breath to the back of your wrist should be the same as it feels on the Q-tip. So like it should be like 5% moisture. It should be very little. It should feel like it's just evaporation essentially. Like very, very little water. But that's my good rule of thumb that I tell people is just take your mouth about an inch away from the back of your wrist, blow on it, or like you're like trying to clean your glasses or clean a mirror. And that condensation from your breath should be around how moist your Q-tip should be. Yeah, of course, Magmar. If you have any other questions, please feel free to let me know. And that goes for anyone too. If you guys have any questions about all that stuff, I do cleaning streams kind of every now and again. I'm trying to do them on Tuesdays as well. So if you want to know more, definitely stick around. Chris, Bruh, and Big Will, thanks so much for the follows. I appreciate you. And one time, not the 2 time, but the 1 time. Thank you. All right. So chat is thinking an 8. All right. So what do I think this Delta species Lickitung would get? So the first thing again that I see is the centering on the right, a little bit thicker than the left, as well as 1 and 2 dirt blemishes that I think it can be cleaned with just a microfiber cloth or Q-tip and distilled water, so not too bad. As for the back, the big things that stand out are the whitened corners, the top left, maybe the top right, I'm not too sure, but more so on the bottom right, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white specks on the edges, both on the left and the right combined, in addition to some small dirt marks again on the back surface, but I think those can probably be cleaned off. So I would say that my assessment of this card would probably, just based off of the dirt, if it does not get cleaned off, we're probably looking at a 6. But if it does get cleaned off and some of those can be improved, you have the possibility of it getting a 7, but I would say more like I would still kind of teeter on both a 7 or a 6. Just by the whitening and all the kind of small little blemishes. So I'd probably lean more towards the 6 if it's not treated, would be my assumption. Cookie the Cat just joined. What is the context of the Q-tip question? The context of the Q-tip question is, for the example, this Lickitung. There is a small, almost like a dirt blemish here that you can, in most cases, just remove with a Q-tip and distilled water. You can just clean that off and they'll remove that dirt, which would result in a higher surface grade because you're improving the overall surface. And this does not, I have to emphasize this, this does not count as an alteration as long as you're using distilled water. But something like card wax would be an example of an alteration. So just take note of that. Do you provide a cleaning pressing service? So Scrappy, I am in a trial phase of getting that off the ground. I've been asked numerous times, which is a good sign. But I want to make sure that I get the logistics down first, because the big obstacle and the biggest risk to my business is what happens if someone says that I damaged their card when they sent it to me and I send it back to them, or said that I did something that I didn't do. How do I protect myself against that? So I'm just trying to figure all that out, and what that looks like. FMR Pokemon or Poke Collection. Thanks so much for the follow. Mr. Big Shot, how can I send you a photo of the card? So if you go to my profile, you'll see a pinned video called Grade Review and How To. Just give that a watch. It's about a 45-second video, and it should give you all you need to know. It's a completely free service, so give that a watch, and you should be able to have all the questions answered there. Get a lawyer, insurance. Yeah, because that's the big thing, right? Because like at the end of the day, like I really have to consider like how much a lot of that is, like how much that costs to me as a business. Right? On like, what's the return on investment, right? So if I buy, you know, small business insurance or go through the process of setting up a more robust LLC, right? Is that investment, that protection investment, worth the profit I would get from those services? So yeah, just trying to work out all the, because I have a bunch of waivers and insurance and contracts prepared. It's just more of having those go through different trial periods to determine whether or not they would be, that it would hold up in any capacity to prove that I was not negligent throughout the entire process. But yeah, Poke Collection, I'm right there with you. It's just the cost. Because I do this as a part-time a side business, so it's like, you know, if I really expand it or whatever, I just have to keep figuring it out. But again, it's in the trial phase. I'm working with a few people in the community, you know, that have established trust with, that I'm not worried about that at all. And trying to get that feedback is really important. What's the best way to clean the holo safely? I would say, first and foremost, test it and hone your experience on cards you don't care about, just in case if you mess them up. But the best way to clean holo, honestly, is just, again, distilled water, microfiber cloth, and higher quality Q-tips. Because if you use card wax, I'm telling you right now, like, unless you're using them for your own personal collection and you don't have intention of selling them or grading them or whatever, if you're always just going to keep them in your own collection, card wax is a way to do it. But if you intend on selling or intend on grading, I would not recommend it at all. It opens yourself up to so many different risks. It's insane. Justin, thanks so much for the follow. Yeah, Thomas, I agree. I think at some point I'm probably just going to invest in like a high quality scanner. But I'm honestly running out of space in my office. So I just have to find a spot to actually put it. Yeah, Ooze, that's really what I'm trying to protect, especially if I want to, you know, not have a restriction on what cards I do the service for, right? That's going to be the biggest one. Hey, Stanks, well, welcome back. Card wax is considered an alteration, Ooze. I'm not going to say the names of companies that offer card wax, but basically it's an intention to fill in scratches to make it seem like they're not present. But it is considered an alteration. Even the PSA CEO highlighted it. So, and there's also techniques to like shave off abrasion, almost like think of like a magic eraser for cards. But all right, so another modern card, but we have some of the most recent sought after like niche collection goals for a lot of people. Well, I shouldn't say niche if it's a lot of people, right? So, but a lot of people have been trying to go for Master Ball collections through the Japanese 151, which I think is a really cool concept and idea that I think a lot of people thoroughly enjoy collecting. Which is this Ghastly. And for those of you who have never seen this, these reverse rares will have certain Pokeballs, and a lot of people are interested in collecting the Master Ball sets. So these ones are pretty cool. Oh, nice, thanks. Yeah, it's always tough to like, because people's names and TikTok sometimes differ from what they are in Discord. So I'm glad you're here. Okay, so again, we go pretty quick for modern. The biggest thing that I that I do see in a good way is I'm not seeing any major print lines or any major scratches. The only thing that I might see, but I don't know if it's just illusion from the camera or a combination of looking at the picture through the computer screen, where the tip of my mouse is, that might be a scratch, but I'm not too sure. Since you're here, Stanks, you could probably verify that for us. So that's in more of like the bottom left-hand corner, to the right of this, to the master ball that's fully visible in the bottom left. Just right above the darkness energy. So right there with the tip of my mouse, that might be a scratch, but I'm not too sure. So if we flip it over, again, as it kind of fades in, as the border fades in with the center of the card, it makes it a little bit tougher to measure centering. But I think overall, you might have to measure it with a ruler, but the left side does look slightly thicker than the right. But again, it might be just the camera, the illusion, I'm not too sure. But this side on the left looks a little bit thicker than the right. So if that is true, you're already looking at a 9, as well as this potential scratch. So if that is a scratch, then you're probably looking at about a 9, because it is very small, at least from what I can tell from here. But yeah, you're probably looking at a 9, because the centering on the back's not that bad either. Unfortunately, it's not going to get the 10, I don't think, but still a cool card. I mean, you can still collect them raw. A lot of people do. I've had a few people ask me if I sell Master Ball cards raw, so you still have that going for you, which is good. All right, next up is the Suicune 2011. That's crazy. A lot of older cards coming up for sure. All right, so the Suicune. So the first thing I see, and I'm not too sure if this is true or not, and again, it's what's nice with Stanks being here, is that this top edge almost looks kind of folded in on itself. I don't know if you guys see that. I'm kind of slowly hovering with my mouse. I'm trying to look at the stream to see. But that looks like a small kind of edge fold across the top, almost like it got like pressed down. But anyway, we'll hear. I'll check chat to see if you can confirm that or not. The right side does look a little bit thicker than the left. Let's see. Yeah, most people didn't, Stanks. Most people did not take care. I still remember. I still have my original Zapdos that I took on the playground all the time. I loved showing it off. That thing would get like a PSA 2 or a 1 probably. But I would never grade it. I love it raw. Let me take that back. I love the card in raw condition. I do not want it graded. Sometimes you gotta walk some comments back, because out of context, they do not sound good. Okay. So, clip it and ship it. All right. Front looks good. I'm just looking for, because it's kind of hard to see, because the water texture in the background is so detailed that I'm not really seeing a lot. So let me flip it over. Corners don't look bad on the top, but it's more on the bottom. So like this top left a little bit, top right a little bit, but it's more the bottom left and bottom right. There's some pretty noticeable whitening, as well as the left and right edge and the bottom edge. But yeah, so that corner, that corner, that corner, that, as well as some whitening on the edge. All right, so while I catch up with you guys, poll should now be active in the top left corner of your device if you want to weigh in on what you think this card would get. And just let me know if you want me to flip it over, but this is the front of the card, and this is the back. But I'll keep it on the back as most of the damage is on the back. Well, actually, not even. It's probably a good 50-50 because this fold is up here. as well as a lot of the whitening. So I don't know. But I think I'd be shocked if any kid from elementary school, you know, took extremely good care of their cards enough to get graded like, you know, this is what, 2011. So yeah, these cards were definitely loved for sure. The one thing I've been seeing a lot of too with a lot of kids at certain conventions I go to will have a ton of fake cards. So it's just like, it bears the question, like, I'd feel so bad for, you know, a lot of parents that are just trying to buy cards that are, you know, because cards are expensive, you know, if you buy enough of them as a parent. And, you know, when you see an Amazon link that has cheap cards, but you don't know what's a real or a fake card, you know, they buy them from their kids and the kids are happy, parents are happy, they didn't have to spend a lot. But then it kind of trickles down to where, you know, your kid, not knowing any better, trades their card that's fake for a card that's actually real from one of their friends or whatever, and then you have that parent calling you and all pissed. So yeah, it's a big problem. It's a really big problem. But I know Pokemon's finally starting to like take it more seriously, which I've seen. I try to keep mine minty, but my sister liked eating them. You just couldn't like get her like energy cards to chew on. Just like have a binder, have almost like a bait binder to where it's like, oh, like here's all the stuff that I really care about. Oh, look at all my energies, and then she just chews on the energies. That's what you should have done, Famine. If you knew me way back when, that's what I would have suggested. Or you could even like make like throw like candy in there too, so it's like, oh, like this binder is like meant to be chewed on, or these cards are meant to be eaten. Sin, thanks so much for sharing the live. And welcome. I didn't even see you comment. Welcome back. Nice to see you. She'd cry and ask for specific ones. That's so funny. It's like, come on, I really want the Charizard Delta species. It just feels, chewing on it just feels so good. Then your mom yells at you for not giving your sister the Charizard Delta to chew on. That one dude on the couch. Thanks so much for the follow. I hope that there is no one chilling on my couch, because I have no one in my house currently. But welcome. And Lunar Prince, thanks so much for the follow. Thanks so much. I kicked myself for trading my original Charizard Holo. I think you share that experience with a lot of different people, Lunar. I don't think you're the first person, so definitely feel the pain for sure. All right, so chat majority says 8. So what do I think the Suicune would get? So again, the biggest thing that might be difficult to see on stream is that we do have a pretty noticeable, like almost like dent that looks like a fold across the top, as well as some centering issues from the right to the left is a little bit thicker on that right hand side. And as we flip it over, all 4 corners have a degree of whitening. The top not as bad as the bottom, and we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots of whitening on the edges and 2 on the bottom. So I would think just with the fold itself right alongside here, but not so much present on the back, I would probably say a 5 would be my guess. But that, again, it all depends on pictures and whatnot, but I think it, just from like how prominent that looks, but how clean, I guess, the bad bend looks, I'd probably say a 5. I don't think it'd be a 4 by any means, but I don't know. I'd say 5. Let's see. Ooh, holy moly. I did some in-depth research on wax that makes me mad. Brings down value in Pokemon. Yeah. Pokepack Battle, thanks so much for the follow. Yeah, I definitely have a pretty strong opinion on card wax. And I think I feel like it's tough for me to really express how I would never recommend card wax to folks if they have the intention of trying to sell it or grade. You know, if you want my 2 cents, if you're really looking for like my opinion on card wax, I just think it's not worth it. With the exception on if you have a childhood collection that you never intend on selling or whatever, card wax is a way to kind of bring back a degree of life to your old cards to have that sense of what they used to look like. But on the flip side, if you're not doing that, I know as like a thought exercise, if you're ever curious about, like if my opinion doesn't really make much sense, a thought exercise that you can do is if you ever went to a local game store and they had a card that you really wanted listed as near mint, but upon further inspection, you notice that there is like a degree of like wax or something added to the card that you knew they did to have it go up to quote unquote near mint, you would start to ask yourself, if this card is being listed as near mint but was altered and the price was inflated as such to mirror a quote unquote near mint card, it bears the question, what other cards did they do that to? And so now the credibility of that store tanks because you now have that one experience to go off of, and you're now going to apply that for every single other card in that store, which is, again, it's not a good look. You don't want to be known for card wax. So that's just kind of my really quick and dirty 2 cents on it. Aaron, thanks so much for the follow. There are companies that sell the exact colors from them. Yeah, I don't I don't disagree. It doesn't surprise me. Okay. So, as you can clearly tell, this Japanese Gyarados, which actually this is a fun little question to ask chat. Normally, I think this is like the first like error card that we've come across. Well, not error card, but one that could have an error. So, for those of you who are watching, this is a Gyarados from the Japanese base set. So, are you guys aware of the potential print error that Japanese base set cards could have? And determine whether or not this Gyarados has it or not. Does anyone know what you should look for when you're looking at Japanese base set holos? Because it determines whether or not it goes up in price by like 10x or not. Give it a little bit here. So, all right. So for those of you who are unaware, the biggest thing that you want to look for is the no rarity symbol error. So yeah, Civic kind of snuck in there in the last second. So in some Japanese base sets, holos, it will be missing this rarity symbol. So if it is missing the rarity symbol, it's technically the first set ever printed by Pokemon in the traditional like base set jungle fossil. If it has the no symbol error. So it's considered kind of the first edition Japanese printing of base set if it has no symbol. So always look for your holo, like your Japanese holos from base set to see if it has the symbol or not, because the no rarity symbols are pretty expensive. So just a food for thought. But this one, it's not unfortunate, but it is unfortunate for the no rarity that it is in fact the standard regular rarity. So we'll treat it as such. Mebula, thanks so much for the follow and the like. Thanks so much. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, so this is just a regular rarity Japanese Gyarados. So the big thing that we can see, right, there is a ton of damage to this card. I can't even begin on where to start, to be honest. There's corner wear, there's like someone like exploded dirt all over this thing. This edge is literally folding in on itself. There's a big crease down the middle, right? So that's pretty extensive. And you can even see on the back that we have almost like a thumb indent here on that right hand side. King Toxic, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate you. We have some some dents, some dirt, some grime. So really what this kind of boils down to, in my opinion, is whether or not this would get a PSA. Is this an anti-10 contender? Is this the PSA 1 contender? Or not? So let me do, let's see, because I'm just curious, quick poll. So I'm going to do a quick poll that you should see. So what is it? The laughing emoji should be saying that yes, it will get the PSA 1. The crying emoji is no, it will not. So it's a really quick vote. I guess you just have to vote with emojis or something. So yeah, so smiling emoji is yes, this will get a PSA 1. Crying emoji is no, it will not. So this is the front of the Gyarados. This is the back. But yeah, again, there's a lot of people that do, in fact, strive to get the PSA 1. So again, if you're coming in, the crying emoji is no PSA 1. The laughing emoji is the PSA 1. Fight, chat. Fight. Determine the fate. Determine the fate of the Gyarados. Round 1. Fight. I hope the sound effects help the swing of the vote, and of course you guys are gonna tie the damn thing. All right, so chat at a quick last second vote. Crying emoji. So you guys are not thinking that this would get the PSA 1. Yeah, I don't know. Do I think this would get the PSA 1? Definitely like lower than a PSA 3 for sure. I don't know. That crease is huge. That crease is insane. Crease is insane. The front creases are insane. I don't know, man. I would either say PSA 2. Like, the question is, could it get worse without risking it no longer looking like a card? I think it could. I'd say PSA 2. Definitely PSA loved for sure. Look at Full Art. I'm just reading the comments. Full Art Trainer trying to add chaos into the mix by trying to tie the vote. Yeah, how do you get a PSA 1 without completely destroying it? It's an art form. It's really an art form. But I did see a few people asking how to submit to the Discord for grade review. So on your screen now, you should see a screenshot of one of the 3 pinned videos that I have on my profile. So the one you're looking for is the one that has the thumbnail that says grade review and how to. It's about a 45-second video. If you watch that, it will tell you how to join the Discord and submit your cards to be reviewed for free during these grade review live streams. Again, it's a free service. I like to provide it to the community as a way to, get everyone a little bit better at assessing cards and figuring out what they'll get graded. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to tell you that every card you open up out of a fresh pack is a PSA 10 and will be able to pay off a house, unlike other people. So yeah. So yeah, definitely check that video out. And yeah, look forward to seeing your cards. Jerry, thanks so much for the follow. And again, I want to take a quick moment to thank everyone who has shared, followed, and liked the live. Again, I'm trying to build a community where we kind of, are a little bit more transparent with, how the hobby is shaping out to be, and trying to just educate people as much as possible so that you or anyone else doesn't get manipulated or, led down a path that they shouldn't be led down. I want everyone to be as educated in this space as possible, because at the end of the day, it forces a lot of like the resellers, the scalpers, the people that are trying to scam, it forces them more out to the outer edges, and makes us a stronger community. So I definitely appreciate all the love and support, and I hope that a lot of this stuff is helpful and useful to you as we kind of go through these. So thank you so much. Lorenzo, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate you. All right. So Caesar From a, was that called Quapolis? Yes, Quapolis. 3 cards in a sleeve. All right, so let us take a look at this card. Definitely a lot better than the Gyarados. that's probably a given. Yeah, Zen. So it's going to be grade review is the channel. Again, if you want to watch that video, it's only like a 45-second video. Just give that a watch. It should be able to answer all the questions for you. All right, Caesar. The only thing that I see is some whitening on this bottom right-hand corner. But other than that, I think a lot of like the little specks that are on this are more so the foiling underneath than any dirt or grime. So I'm gonna kind of assume as such. But just from the angle and the lighting, which is totally fine, because again, we're only really looking at 1 or 2 pictures at a time. I don't see any scratches or print lines on the hollow, so that's good. But if we flip it over, so for those who have heard me talking about Q-tips and cleaning, and Stank, this is a good question, or this is a good kind of exercise for you as well if you want to improve this surface, is a lot of this black kind of spray. I don't even want to begin to think what this is, but all this like black spray on the back of the card. A lot of this you can just simply clean with a Q-tip, microfiber cloth, and distilled water. So again, my rule of thumb for those of you who are wondering like how much water you should put on the Q-tip to clean the card. So if you, on the back of your wrist, if you put it about 1 inch away from your mouth and kind of like breathe into it as though you're about to like clean your glasses, the condensation that you feel on the back of your wrist should be how much moisture is actually in the Q-tip. That's like, so like 5% moisture should be in that Q-tip. So that's like a good gauge. That's what I do. And so what you do is over all these, like this one, for example, or these two in between the Pokeball, just take the Q-tip and very gently counterclockwise or clockwise, just rub that moist Q-tip over it, and it'll eventually just come right off. I've done that enough times to be pretty confident in it, but I will say if it is your first time cleaning your cards, definitely do them on cards you don't care about, just in case if you misgauge how much water it should be, if it was too wet or whatever, or you're applying too much pressure. It's definitely a feels type of technique, so you want to test it on cards you don't really care about. So yeah. So with that, if we consider these as of now, that's definitely going to be weighing in on your surface score for sure. The top left, right corners are pretty whitened, especially the bottom left and right. So this card, with the exception of this, for whatever reason, this left edge is actually pretty clean. It's really just all of the other edges and corners and the surface is really what's kind of holding you back on the back. So yeah. So let us take another poll. So another poll should have started on your device if you want to weigh in on what you think this card would get graded. We'll take an average of the chat. So this is the front of the Caesar, and this is the back. And I think, unless someone wants me to flip it over, if I see it in chat, I'll flip it over. But this is where most of the damage is on that back. And while you guys are voting, I'm going to catch up with chat. Is there a certain channel? Answered that one. Does PSA mark down if there's little specks of hollow on edges? Does PSA mark down if there's little specks of hollow? So if you're talking about silvering, Zubair, so silvering will impact your edge wear score, depending on how severe it is. So like silvering is very notorious on like base set, jungle, fossil, just because Wizards of the Coast did not care about replacing their blades when cutting the cardstock. But it will impact it to a degree. It just depends on how much. Hollow bars seemed a little scratched, or was that my eye? Bradley, let's see. It might have been It kind of looks like, because like the tough thing, honestly, and I can see, Bradley, how you can kind of see this too. With steel types specifically, they have a very unique kind of non-hollow layer that almost makes it look like there are scratches. But, and I know that this is consistent with e-readers, this like line, but I don't believe so. I think it might just be this the steel type texture kind of poking through, making it appear as such, would be my guess. Instructions not clear, too late. My card has now drowned. Well, hopefully it was a whale lord or a water type. That way it wouldn't drown, but... Or instructions not clear, it is now in my washing machine at full blast. Like most I'm sure... I'd be interested to see if anyone in chat has one card that they can distinctly remember accidentally putting through a washing machine as a kid. I think like everyone has suffered that fate at one point or another for getting like a really prized card in their jeans or shorts and running it through the washing machine and like yelling at your mom to pull it out, and it's too late. Lorenzo, I just submitted some. How long is the queue? So Lorenzo, if you look at the pinned messages, there is a reaction guide. So based off of what reactions I give to cards, you'll have a general idea on where they are. So anything with like just a blue and a green check mark means that that's what I'm about to stream. Anything with the microphone is anything that I have already streamed. And the blue check mark alone is just saying that, yes, I've seen your card, but it has not been added to the next stream schedule. So that's the best way I can explain it. So you just have to look for all the cards that have just the blue check mark. And I try to do, so my baseline right now, depending on how long they take, is 25 cards a stream, which is quite a lot. But oh yeah, Lorenzo, it might not be today. Just to be I don't want to lie to you or deceive you. It might not be today. So just keep that in mind. But I appreciate you sending them in regardless. I don't know if it's like a time sensitive thing. Like I said, I might not get to it today. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Okay. So let us see what chat thinks. Chat is thinking 8. Chat on average is thinking 8, but it was pretty close. It was like between 7 and 8. Okay. So what do I think the Caesar will get? So the front, not too bad. The only thing that I saw was this whitening on the bottom right. On the back, however, we do see significant whitening on all 4 corners and the top, bottom, and right of the card. In addition, we also see a lot of what looks like dirt spray all on the surface of the back that possibly could get cleaned with a Q-tip and water, distilled water specifically. So if this cannot be cleaned, I would say it's an instant 5 for me, because the front, from what I can tell from this picture, is actually really clean. It's just the back that takes away from it. If you can clean this, I'm hesitant to even give it a 6, only because the whitening on that right edge, as well as all 4 corners, is pretty noticeable. But you might have the chance of getting it a 6, but in my opinion, I'd be surprised if it was, regardless of if it was cleaned or not. So I would probably have to say this would get a 5. In the current state that it's in, I think it would get a 5. Kala Bang Bang, thanks so much for sharing the live. Thanks so much. And that was Jalen. So thanks so much. That was your submission. Appreciate you. There you go, RQ. You're the type of person that everyone wants as their PSA grader for sure. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so let's see who is next. So now we just have a lot of like little one-offs. So let me get these prepared here. Let's do this one, since this one just popped up. You guys are gonna be surprised if you have not seen this. The Mudkip Gold Star beat to hell. with some obvious damage. All right. So this one was sent in by Rex on Discord. So Rex, first of all, thank you. So this one has a very interesting backstory. So this one, if you guys have been in the grade reviews for a while, if memory serves me correctly, Rex bought this for $1 out of like a, I think it was, if memory serves me, it was like from a bulk box from an LGS. So if this were me, I would also buy this if it was just $1. Like, it's a legitimate Mudkip Gold Star. It's not fake. It just beat to all hell. But for $1, I've spent worse for $1 than this. So the big thing is the front and the back, right? So the front, that's pretty beat, right? The front of this Mudkip is pretty beat. But the back is where it really, right, like, not only is it completely destroyed on the back, but you can also see that there's some ink and stuff actually drawn on the card. So again, I am pretty sure that since this actually has this stuff on it, they probably wouldn't grade it because it would be considered like an altered, or like it's no longer like the structural integrity, or like what is defined as a card is no longer there. But I don't think that they would grade this, only because it literally has a cent, like a cent symbol on the top left, as well as someone really wanted to fill that center Pokeball with a pen. But let's see. You know what? I'm just curious. I'm gonna do a quick poll. I want to see if so for $1, right? Smiling emoji, you would buy it. Crying emoji, not in a million years. You want to spend that $1 somewhere else. So quick poll. Smiley face, you would buy it for $1. Crying, you would not. You want to spend that $1 on, I don't even know what you can buy for $1 anymore, to be honest. But yeah, this is probably like one of the few things you can actually buy for $1. So again, smiling, you would buy it for $1. Crying, you would not. I think me personally, I would buy that for $1 for sure. Like, no tax probably. Yeah, I think like I said, I think they bought it from a bulk box. No tax either. Yep, just a straight George Washington swap, as we call it. The old George Washington. But I always loved the trio from Gen 3 for the Gold Stars, the Mudkip, Trico, and Torchic. Those looked so nice. RQ, you're not wrong. A top loader probably costs more than the card. Yeah, the top loader and the sleeve you would put it in costs more than the card itself. They bought it for $1, Josh. So yeah, Rex, I don't think that they would grade this. I'm gonna be honest with you, but a cool $1 card nonetheless. That's for sure. All right, so now we're getting into some like single ones here. So next up, which I just saw quickly, is Caden with their Articuno from Fossil. I got offered $150 for it. So I'm assuming full that you are Rex, because again, it kind of makes it tough when TikTok and Discord names are different. But if you got offered $150, whew, I don't know. It's like that. Was it the Knuckles meme? I don't know. I would just keep it just for the memes of it all. The fact that you can say that you bought that thing for $1, I think it's just a funny story. That's me personally. Yeah, watch someone try to haggle with you. Like, oh, I'll buy it off you for $1. 50 cents. That'd be pretty funny. All right. Articuno from Fossil. So, what I was talking about before, right, was Fossil, like Jungle and Fossil specifically, were much more prone to silvering, which is the hollow kind of peeking out on the edges of the cards, almost in like a rough or damaged way. But this card is not affected by the silvering, so that's really cool. Centering actually looks pretty good. Edges look good. The only scratch that I see so far is this one near the wing. This one right here between the wing and the tail. And then this one to the right of the head of the Articuno. But other than that, from this angle, I don't really see anything else other than those 3 scratches. So as we flip it over, we do see a lot of whitening on the left edge, the top, and the bottom. We also see some whitened corners in the top left, top right, and bottom left. But the surface actually looks pretty good besides this white dot or white speck. I don't know what that is, but might be able to get rid of that. I'm not too sure. But yeah. All right, chat. Now is your time to shine. Poll is active. What do you guys think this Articuno from Fossil would get? So this is the front. The only thing that I saw, just to kind of help people out, I see 1, 2, 3 scratches here on the front hollow. And on the back, which I'll kind of keep it on, there's a lot of whitened edges and corners, which is pretty apparent. But that's probably where most of this is going to be, where most of the grade is going to suffer, is because of the back more than the front. So again, if you want to have your vote weigh in, there should be a poll. It should be in the top left. So right here. Famine's offering $3.50. Dad Life, thanks so much for the follow. And I saw a few likes coming in. I appreciate those. I didn't catch those in time, but I appreciate it. And that goes for anyone that I have missed. That I saw a lot of shares and likes and follows. I really do appreciate it. Again, this is a free service that I like to offer for folks for free grade reviews, so it really does mean a lot to get that feedback. Thank you. What zoom tool is that? It is the magnifying glass hover zoom Chrome extension. It's really nice. It's a nice, like, quality of life. Nice little quality of life tool for these kind of like reviews. Because a lot of them were more of like website developer tools for like zooming in on web pages, but this is the only one that I could actually see here. Killjet, the only thing that you've missed is we're just looking over this Articuno from Fossil. That's it. And we just went over full art trainers. $1 Mudkip Gold Star. I don't know if you remember us talking. I don't know if you were in stream before when we talked about that before, where they bought it for $1. Poke, thanks so much for sharing the live. Appreciate it as always. Hopefully you're parked or not on work, driving around. Because you said super off topic. Because you said that you like drive around chickens or something, don't you? Isn't that what you said, or am I, like, wildly misrepresenting you? Maybe it was, like, a dream. I don't know. The chicken chauffeur. Hey, Mexicans, how's it going? Welcome back. Nice to see you. Bang Bang event. Again, thanks so much for sharing the lives. I really do appreciate that. All right. So, 7 or 6. Was the chat grade. So what am I thinking this Articuno from Fossil would get? So again, corners and edges and centering actually is really good on this. The only thing that I see on the front is the 1, 2, and 3 scratches on the front of the hollow. So as we flip it over, we're really starting to see some of those whitened edges, both on the corners as well as the left and the bottom edge. So the surface on the back is actually really nice, with the exception of this. This might be able to get cleaned with a microfiber cloth. So with the amount of whitening, if the amount of whitening was reduced, especially on the bottom, I would probably say a 7. But based off of what I see, I'm probably leaning more towards a 6, would be my guess. It's almost 4 a.m. and I'm loving being here. Awesome, RQ. I appreciate it. Hopefully you're, like I said, sit back, relax, chill. Hopefully you're having a, so 4 a.m. I'd assume that would be Thursday for you, I would guess. But I definitely appreciate it. And it's, again, my intention, I have some goals in the future based off of follower count on TikTok on whether or not I want to start investing in restreaming software, but a lot of it is super expensive. Some of it's like, some of the more reputable ones are like $50 a month. So it's kind of hard to determine, you know, because preferably, right, you want to, like, the big place you really want to stream or like carry a community over to is you really want to carry over to Twitch. Twitch is probably the best streaming platform, or just like the most used. Oh, we just broke 6K? That's awesome. Dang, that's sick. Well, thanks so much, guys. We broke 6,000. That's awesome. Appreciate you guys. Let's go, man. Let's go. Thank you so much, guys. The support means more than you know. You know, I really don't want to put everyone to sleep from the amount of times I try to show appreciation. I just say thank you. It's awesome. Rug. Are you against buffering cards with creams or compounds? Yes, I am. Based off of my business model, it's too much of a risk to my brand and business to do certain techniques with wax or compounds that are considered alterations. A good proof is the recent tweet that the CEO of PSA recently made about such topic. So if the CEO of PSA thinks the same way, I'm more inclined to think the same as well. So that's kind of my 2 cents. But if you're using it for your own personal collection and you have no intention of selling it or grading it, I think it's a cool idea. Especially for like your childhood collection, if you want to kind of bring more life to them. I think it's a cool idea. But not for the intention of reselling or regrading or grading. Thanks so much for the follow. I don't even want to try to pronounce that first part. Lunar, is PSA better than the other ones that does PSA? So I guess that's subjective, Lunar. If you want to add some more context on like what you think better is, like in terms of like better return on investment or better quality control, like what do you define as better? And I can probably answer that a little bit better. No pun intended. But what'd you say, Poke? I want to see. I haul from the farm to Chicken Land, where they take a ride. So no Chick-fil-A sauce? Come on, Poke. That's for those of you who follow or watch Meat Canyon, he just made an insanely funny Chick-fil-A video. Going to AGS for the Mudkip. That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious to see that. No Chick-fil-A sauce? Okay. So, Caden, thanks so much for the Articuno. Next up, we have, let's see. Who is up? Oh, Dream Scythe. Dream Scythe's up next. With a really nice looking Vaporeon. From Delta Species. Gatto, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you. Oh yeah, that was something. Not to spoil it for any Meat Canyon enjoyers, but that Chick-fil-A episode was pretty wild. Now we all know why Chick-fil-A is closed on. The true reason why Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays is because of that video. We are now all aware of the blessings that is the Chick-fil-A sauce. Okay, so I'm going to catch up with you, Lunar, here, with their grading being worth more in the eyes of collectors. Yeah, so I'd say on average, Lunar, I mentioned it actually yesterday in the discussion we had about PSA partnering with eBay. Based off of some statistics as of 2023, PSA owns, and this is kind of like a stat that was collected by someone else, so it kind of bears the question, like, how do you determine market share? But PSA roughly has a 78% market share across all the grading, all the other grading companies. So they're pretty predominant. They're also optimizing the way that sellers can grade to sell. They're trying to streamline that much more efficiently. So it's just going to make selling PSA cards through eBay, which is arguably the largest auction house, like online auction house. You're going to get a lot higher return on your investment with PSA as a whole. Now, having said that, black labels, for example, for Beckett, you're going to get a higher premium, but it is a niche premium, in my opinion, similar to someone who wants to collect just swirl pattern cards. So it's a very niche within a niche. That it's probably easier because you also hear people when they get Beckett 9.5s just cracking them and getting the PSA 10s. There's a reason for that, right? So that is that's my 2 cents on that. Kale Destroyer, thanks so much for sharing the live. Appreciate you. I prefer Polynesian sauce. Interesting. Interesting. I feel like you're gonna make a lot of people mad with that comment. Gotta be careful, RQ. So they can get higher value for PSA 10s than 9.5. I believe so. Yes. A lot of people mention if they get 9.5s, they want to say, oh, will it cross grade to a PSA 10? Because it's all just based. Like, I'm not saying that because like I'm a PSA shill or whatever. Just based off of the numbers, there is more demand for PSA 10s as opposed to a BGS 9.5 in most cases. Just based off of what I've seen selling online, and listing cards and doing hundreds and hundreds of price points for market research. Another thing that I see a lot of people do that do sell PS or BGS cards in some listings will actually just mention the PSA equivalent grade to get people to look at their BGS cards. So there is still a demand for it. So, but anyway, let's look at this amazing Vaporeon submitted by Dream Scythe. I think we looked through her cards last week, which was some really cool stuff. It was she had a Registeel, Regirock, and Regice Gold Stars, which was sick. So now we're looking at the reverse rare Vaporeon from Delta Species. I don't know why I said Vaporeon like that. I kind of choked on my words there. But anyway, let's take a look at the Vaporeon. One of the things I really like is the fact that the water is behind the reverse rare. I think that looks really sick. But anyway, centering looks good. Corners look good. The surface looks amazing. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't see anything wrong with this on the front, at least. So let's flip it over. The back is not bad. There are some things that I can see, but it's definitely not bad. So the things that I see, the top left, we have some whitening. The top right, that might be, but it's also being taken, the picture is being taken on cardboard. So that might be part of the cardboard, but I don't think so in this case. So I will say that that's a white dot in that top right. We do have some whitened edges in the bottom left, as well as the bottom right, but again, not very much. So this one, honestly, is going to be pretty tough. I'm going to start this new poll on what you guys think this Vaporeon Delta Species is going to get. And I'm going to flip it back and forth because I think this is really close. So the poll should be active on your device now if you want to weigh in. And then while you guys do, I'm going to catch up with chat. Let's see. Someone said, yeah, Three-Eyed Bull. There's a streamer that cracked his 9.5 Beckett and decided grade with PSA and got a 6. Yeah, so not knowing the context of that bull, I'd be interested to see what the card looked like before it got submitted, if it was cracked raw. I'm assuming that they knew how to crack the card without damaging it, because there is that risk associated. Again, I'm totally speculating because I don't really know personally what you're talking about, like that specific instance. But that's rough. In the long run, I think it will switch. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on buyers, right? Most buyers are currently, looking at PSA specifically. PSA is making a lot of moves in the market to continue positioning themselves as the top leader in grading. So it's really boils down to voting with your wallet in that case, as well as purchasing with your wallet. So you not only do you have to have people buying into getting their cards graded from a particular grading company like BGS or CGC, because I consider all three of those to be the big three, but you also have to have enough buyer demand to purchase those cards. So what does that look like? It'll be interesting to see. I think that's where like AI grading is going to shine, in terms of like not having, I really want to be very clear with this. Like, I think having AI and human grading is really important, not one or the other. I think AI would be really good opportunity to be introduced during the quality control process of all three grading companies. I think that would be a huge boost in kind of that quality control that's currently lacking, but not just as a standalone service. So again, this is the front. Again, I want to make sure that we're looking at the right one. So that's the front of the Vaporeon, and that is the back. Exactly, Lunar. They're historically they've been in the market for a while, along with Beckett. And we also have to remember too, especially with CGC, that they were the top company that was able to fill the COVID void. And that's what really kind of propelled them into that third place of the big, and kind of establishing a big three. We can't forget that. I think that's a really big thing that a lot of people overlook, that they weren't grading cards until they filled the demand for COVID when PSA shut their doors. So we always have to remember that. Is that golden name part of the reverse holo? It is, this is why I like these reverse holos from these sets. Because they do a lot of creative techniques for the reverse. Blank name, I don't even know what your name is. I can't even highlight it. Thank you for the follow. Jake, thanks so much for the follow. Hi, I was wondering if you already graded the jungle evolutions. Let me take a look. Justin, I have not. I'm not sure if I'll get them to this stream, but it really depends on, because I still have an hour. It depends on when I hit what is in my current queue. I'll ask chat what we want to do next. Share, thanks so much for the follow. Wow, have a celebrity in the chat. All right. So chat is thinking a 9. It's actually a pretty strong grade. So what do I think this Vaporeon Delta species would get? So, like I said before, the centering of this is really clean. Corners and edges are really clean, especially the holo on the Vaporeon. I see very little to no scratches on this, so I'm assuming there isn't. So if we flip it over, let us take a look at the corners. So the corners is really where it's going to be the main focus. So the corners here in the top left and the top right. We also are kind of looking in that bottom right as well. And this might be either the cardboard or the card itself. It's very difficult to tell based off of, so I'm going to have to make somewhat of an educated guess here. Based off of the overall quality, these white dots, I'm assuming is just how the picture was taken with the cardboard underneath. So I'm going to assume that that's not whitening. However, I think with the whitening on the bottom right, top right, and top left, I am more pressed to say an 8, more so than a 9. That is the wrong number. So that would be my assessment. Blast, thanks so much for the follow. Yeah, no worries, Justin. What about the Moon Kitty? I think we got one coming up. Yeah, from Makeout Hill. Yeah, we actually do that next because I literally just stumbled upon it. On the rose-colored blanket. Wow. So elegant, chat. Look at us. So again, thank you, Dream Scythe, for that Vaporeon. So next up, this is from Makeout Hill on Discord. What is this you're using? So what I am doing is I am just streaming on my desktop, and I am looking at people who have submitted their cards for review in our Discord channel. And I am just using just Chrome extensions. So like, for example, the hover tool, which is the magnifying glass hover zoom Chrome extension, allows me to zoom in on parts of the card like so. And then everything else is just overlays using TikTok Studio. So give me 1 second. I'm going to take a quick drink. If you guys are Hydro homies, now's your chance to drink a sip of water. Yeah, so the big, we actually, for those of you who were around yesterday, we determined it was what, chat? I think it was 75, it was either 75 or 81% of Umbreon VMAXs that have been submitted to PSA have come back as PSA 10s, I believe. So this card, there's definitely a large supply of these cards as PSA 10s. Don't let the market fool you. There is a lot. It really just depends on how many people actually are willing to sell them versus keeping them in their collection. That's always the big kicker. Does beer count for hydration? According back to the olden days, yes. Because back in the day, people didn't know that drinking beer was what was hydrating people and keeping people alive longer, because that was the only way that they like evaporated water and took out all the bacteria and crap. So, if anything, you're living like a true Renaissance man. Actually, you kind of are. You transport chickens for a living and you're drinking beer as hydration. So you're as close to being a true Renaissance man as I have ever seen. So yeah, hear ye, Poke is now here. Okay, so let us take a look at the Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies. You guys know this card. Every person that is in the hobby knows exactly what this card is. We're not going to go into crazy detail. So the big thing that we're really looking for is centering of the Umbreon VMAX. So the best, anytime I look at this card, the main thing that holds this card back is the centering. And from what I can tell just from the front so far, the centering on the left, which is really, you can only kind of measure with this white part on the left and compare to the right, looks to be 50-50 in my opinion. And the bottom also doesn't look too thin or too thick, because there's obviously not a lot of, there's nothing on the top to measure, but it looks pretty good. So it's pretty decent. So let's flip it over. So again, we're really trying to critique this as much as possible. So let me kind of zoom in here. Okay, so top right corner clean, top edge clean, top left corner clean, left edge clean, bottom left corner clean, bottom edge clean, bottom right corner clean, right edge clean, Pokeball clean. So the centering, I believe. So the question is, would this get the PSA 10? Now, the only thing that I see, from what I'm kind of telling, G59, thanks so much for the follow. I wanted to make sure I caught that. Was this right here. So you can kind of see where my mouse is pointing. There is something there. So that might be either like a piece of dust, or a piece of debris or something small. So if we can get rid of this, this has a pretty good shot at getting a 10. However, if you cannot get rid of this, then it's not going to get the 10. Because again, we're not looking for a black label, so as long as we're in like the 55-45 ratio on the front, which I believe we are, and the back looks also really clean. What about the foil kind of lifting on the right edge? If you're talking about this side, I don't know if that is because since it's kind of, so this is like an odd thing to kind of talk about, but it's worth saying if you're not the only one thinking that. Based off of what it's sitting on, I'm like doing a PSA review of a blanket, but what the card is actually sitting on makes it kind of raised. So you can kind of see the shadow here on the left side. So it's a little bit elevated. So since the card is being taken a picture of elevated and there is a degree of a shadow, that might be what that is. It's just kind of like a camera illusion. That's kind of the benefit of the doubt that I'm going to give a little bit. But again, really the big thing that I'm seeing is just this white speck. So let's see if we can do a quick poll. So I'll just do a quick poll this time around. So Smiley is, you think this would get a 10? I don't, because it's either a 9 or a 10. There's nothing that is screaming at me that this would get an 8. So it'll probably be a 10 or a 9. So smiley emoji is going to be 10. Crying emoji is going to be 9. So quick poll should be on your screen. So again, smiling emoji is the 10. The crying emoji is the 9. So again, the centering on the front was actually pretty good, as well as the back was really good, and no whitening on the edges, no whitening on the corners. So again, smile is 10, cry is 9, which is very fitting. Add it to the 10 population. That's what I'm saying. So again, that's the front. Smile emoji if you think a 10. Crying emoji if you think it's a 9. But like I said, yeah, I think the odds of Umbreon VMAXs getting a 10 is roughly 75%. It was either 75 or 80 depending on the population report we looked at yesterday. I can't remember. No Umbreon sauce? John, one of my 10s look way worse. All right. So at the last second, it was 75%. Okay. Yeah, so Umbreon VMAXs, again, have a very high probability of getting 10s, just based strictly off of the population report data that PSA has. Because I think like 14,000 of these cards have been graded or something like that, and 10,000 have been graded as 10s, if I remember correctly. Okay, so most of you are saying that this would get a 9. So here's what I truly believe. I think if you cannot get rid of this white speck that I'm kind of highlighting at the tip of my mouse, it will not get the 10 if you cannot get rid of this. However, if you can, and I don't see anything, just again, based off of the one picture on the front and the back, this left side compared to the right side looks to be within the realm of the 50-50 ratio, which is the biggest thing that holds these cards back for getting the 10. Corners and edges look very good. Again, for modern cards, you typically see a very small white speck on one of these corners, which I do not see on this card currently. So in my opinion, if you can get rid of this, I would say it's probably your best shot at a 10. If you cannot, it's not going to get the 10. So that's kind of my assessment. But as always, I think it'd be really cool to, if Make Out Hill, which is an interesting Discord name, got this card graded, I think it'd be really cool to see if how accurate we were. But yeah, super clean card though. It's a really, really good condition card. John, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate you. Make Out Hill is an album name. I believe it. All right, so let's see. Let's see who is next. So we got more on the top. Let's see. Again, while I'm kind of scrolling, I definitely I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I appreciate you guys hanging out, especially on platform of TikTok. I know it's, you know, the stream, like watching streams on TikTok is a little rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I definitely appreciate you guys hanging around. Just to be transparent, you know, having the exposure that TikTok provides is really nice for smaller content creators. So it's really cool to have you guys stick around for as long as you are. So I definitely appreciate it. All right, so this one is from NetMNDR. He's wondering if this Machamp would get a PSA 1. Let's see. So this is a PSA 1 with some fingers in there. PSA 1 submission. Jeez. These are rough. Yeah, that's what I think so too, Betty. Okay. At least, you know what? At least no toes. That is one thing I will always be in. Like, that's like, you guys need to give yourselves a round of applause. I've seen, I think, only one entry that has had someone's feet in it. And I feel like I need to make that now until a requirement to not have. So I just don't see a flood of feet pictures in my grade review channel. But the fact that you guys have not taken pictures with your feet in them, which seems like every Facebook marketplace listing always has their feet, or if they're like whipping their camera back and forth trying to take the picture. There's someone in the Discord, I think Dream put it in there, I can't remember, where someone was using their feet as like when you write down your name and date to verify that you actually own the cards, they're using their feet. Oh my god, Betty. That is definitely true. Unless you're Dan Schneider, you only have feet in your pictures. And pickles, apparently. Pickles and feet. Alright. So, speaking of pickles and feet, we have the Machamp. So this was... I did watch the documentary. It was... A lot of the shows I grew up with are now ruined. And mayo grilled cheese. I'm telling you, man. I am telling you. Making grilled cheese with mayonnaise is top tier. Don't knock it until you try it. All right. Before we go down that rabbit hole for another half an hour, I'm going to review this Machamp. Machamp. This is really rough on the front. That's really rough on the back. I don't even know what that is. What do you guys think this is? I don't even know if it's like a crease. I think it's like... This might not even get... That looks like a stain. Which I don't even want to know what that is. And it's peeling. I was going to see it's peeling right here. But... Yeah, definitely some substance for sure, Sin. It's something. I just don't know if that would be considered an alteration or something that they wouldn't deem gradable. Because it is like a substance that sits on top of the card. I really don't know. I think it would get denied. Because I don't know if that's a scrape or a... Because like it looks... Because like I've never... Because you'd expect a scrape would actually like reveal like what you see here. Right? Like the white cardboard underneath. But this isn't even really that. Because you can kind of see... You can still see the artwork underneath. So, and it almost looks like a stain. Like this pattern almost looks like... I feel like I'm doing like a CSI investigation. This looks like a stain. I don't know. We'll do a quick poll. Apparently I'm liking quick polls. So smiley face is that this would get the PSA 1. Sad crying emoji is that it would not get... Either not get the PSA 1 or just get denied. I personally think it'd probably get denied, but... yeah, smile emoji, PSA 1. Crying emoji, this thing's going to get denied at the door. Someone likes the Machamp a bit too much. Dang. That is something. But you're not far off. I don't know what this is. As I see 239 ooze. Maybe it is some ooze. Who knows? Who knows? Crying emoji, not PSA 1. Laughing emoji or smiling emoji, whatever it is you think it's going to get the PSA 1. Yeah, I have no idea. G59, I sent a damaged poncho. Oh, that hurts my heart to even have to read that out loud. Alright, yeah, results are in. Yeah, you guys think... I also don't think this is going to get... I think this is not even going to get graded, in my honest opinion. Just because of that stain, I don't think it's going to get... I don't think it makes the cut for the PSA 1. But... who knows? I don't even think enough Q-tips and distilled water in the world would be able to clean that off. But thank you for the submission regardless. Alright, so next up. Make sure I don't miss anyone here. So we did Jay's. We did Rex's. Jonah. Can't forget Jonah. Got the Japanese Articuno. First we had the English, and now we are at the Japanese. I can't wait for your vendor POV. Yeah, I'm super excited. I definitely am weighing in on getting some stuff for it, like upgrading my setup for it. I'm super stoked to do it. Because it'll be kind of cool, too, to, like... I mean, A, it's going to be a face reveal, essentially. And B, I think it'll be cool to kind of show... You know, because I think one of the things that I like to do personally at my shows is I actually like to price my cards like a week or a few days before the event, and mark them down at least 5%, because I feel that I want my prices slightly lower than the competition's, because the more traffic I can drive to my booth, the better sales and the better potential trades that I'll get throughout the day, because it's really important at a show to kind of get that get the conversation rolling throughout the convention that you're a booth that you actually want to go to, because it can go the opposite way very quickly, and you don't want that. Poke, thanks so much for following the live. Pokeziki. RQ, so do you only stream on TikTok? As of now, RQ, yes, because there is some restreaming platforms and restreaming software that you can use, but it's pretty expensive. It's like the one that I would want for like the good quality, because like people will say like, oh, you know, you can stream lower quality and pay less, but I just know, you know, at the end of the day, people want good quality streams, and they're just gonna move on if they don't get it. So the one that I would want was like, I think $50 a month, like for one of the more reputable ones. Because again, you want a reputable company that is consistent and doesn't falter. Because if you cheap out and your streams crash or like whatever is happening, you're gonna lose viewership. You're gonna lose that momentum. So it's a really big investment that I don't know, because I think one of my milestones is, you know, if I get to like 7,500 followers on TikTok, maybe I'll have like a more serious discussion with the community on whether or not you guys would like a restreaming to like other platforms like TikTok or like Twitch or YouTube. Because I will say it makes it a lot easier to stream on Twitch, because it's, you know, the #1 streaming platform. Most people have accounts for them, and it allows you to pop it up on your monitor versus like only having your phone just being used for streaming. So, or just being used for the TikTok stream. You can, you know, use your phone and watch the stream at the same time. So it's tough. But okay. So Japanese Articuno. Let's keep on keeping on. The right side is a little thick. I will not lie to you. In the sense that I can see it more so like here on the bottom. So like this right side is a little bit thicker than the left. Not by much though, but based off of this angle, that's what I can see. I also think I see a scratch here where the tip of my mouse is. Right above this really big, like, hollow circle. Right around there. So if we flip it over, there is some surface scratches on the back, from what I can tell. So the first one I can see is right here, where the tip of my mouse is, as well as here. So two right next to each other. We also have some whitening on the surface, but that might just be dust that we can probably just get rid of. Let's see. Maybe right there as well, towards the top. Some other surface, because like for Japanese cards, there is like a degree of like gloss onto them, so you also have to keep that into consideration. So there's some here in the left and in the center, as well as in the bottom right hand corner. So really it's just the surface, but the centering on the back is actually pretty decent. It's just the surface, from what I can tell. So a poll is started for this Japanese Articuno from Fossil. So if you want to weigh in, that vote or that poll should be active. So that is the front, and this is the back. So again, the back, really the only thing I saw was a few scratches here in the on the center right, and some of these like white specks that probably can get removed from just a microfiber cloth, but unsure. And then the front is really clean. I just think, again, just based off of the angle of the picture, again, it might just be the angle, it might be whatever. The right side looks slightly thicker than the left, but yeah, what do you guys think? The poll should be active if you want to vote in. Noah, thanks so much for the follow. How close are you every time? I actually made a video not too long ago. The thumbnail should read grade review our results. So someone actually submitted their cards that we graded. It was only 3, but it was a good sample for sure. And we got all 3 correct. So yeah, we were pretty close. So far we've been 3 for 3. But as more people submit, and I think there's one more that we assessed as an 8, ended up getting a 10. That I still think we, as a community, didn't really know why it got a 10, because there was a very obvious white edge ding on the side. But, I mean, rather be wrong in the right direction, I guess. But, Sin, top front right. Top? This, you're saying? Is a pencil marking or something? I kind of thought that was a hair, to be honest. I'm not too sure, though. But that might be a hair, but I can see what you're talking about. I'm not too sure either. Okay. So chat is thinking an 8, which is actually a pretty strong assumption, for sure. Okay, so what do I think this Articuno would get? So, besides this, which we're just kind of talking about in chat, that might be a hair, that might be something. I'm not too sure. I'm not going to focus on it too much. The right side is a little bit thicker than the left, but really not by much. But the only thing for scratching I saw was this, where my mouse is hovering on that left side. So as we flip it over, the corners, edges, and centering is good. The only thing that really took this back was some of these white specks all on the surface. So we can probably I'm assuming we can probably get rid of those with a microfiber cloth. Regardless, we do see some scratching here on this right side, but not too bad. So I think just because the surface or the corners, edges, and centering is good on both the front and the back, with the minor exceptions of these scratches on the back, I'd probably say an 8 as well. But still pretty clean. Good binder card. Hey, when the back is bad and the front's good, you throw it in the binder. All right, so we have 3 more. Let's take a look. So we have stats and then Lord J. Flacco. I gotta find yours. I don't know why I can't find yours anymore. Let's take a look. From Lord J. Flacco. Ah, that's what it was. That's what it was. It was a corner ding. Now, look at that, chat. You actually circled them. That makes it nice. All right, so What do we think about this Charizard EX? Let's see. Before I continue, I'm just going to read chat real quick. In Florida, we got these really invasive cane toads. I look out my window from upstairs and saw one. Went to kill it, hid, or unalive it, rather. TikTok's weird like that. It hid and I couldn't find it. Went back upstairs, looked out the window again, and it was back outside. So that thing definitely is trying to go after you, for sure. You guys ever hear about the slug dilemma, where it's like you can get like $1 billion, but you always have a slug or a snail slowly chasing you, and if it touches you, you unalive. I feel like that's what's about to happen, is that you have a cursed toad that's gonna haunt you in your sleep and force you to make grilled cheese with mayonnaise instead of butter. Moths are the real villains. The dustier, the better, in my opinion. The dustier the moth, the better. Season, that's what I'm talking about. Moths are cute. Especially the big lunar moths. Hell yeah. Release one of them bad boys in your house. Dustier the better. Exactly. The ones that wear like the little dusty vests. That's what I'm saying. Caleb, Betty pinned the comment that should help you. But just a quick visual. For those of you who might be wondering as well, if you want your cards reviewed for free, just watch the pinned video with the thumbnail that looks exactly what you're seeing on screen, which is grade review and how-to. It's about a 45-second video. Again, it's completely free. It'll teach you how to join the Discord, where to submit your pictures, and what criteria you need to submit the pictures. So just follow that. It's like I said, it's about 45 seconds. If you have any questions after that, I'd be more than happy to answer. Okay, so Charizard EX. So really the big thing, again, modern card, we're going to be kind of going through quick, but luckily Lord J kind of highlighted some of the major areas of the card that we're going to be looking at, so that'd be kind of nice. So you're kind of highlighting it already, which is nice with the whitening, but the first thing I want to see is just the centering. Based off of what I can see, maybe slightly thicker on the right side than the left, but I don't think it's enough to take away from it. The centering on the back is actually really good. But with what you've circled, which is kind of adding an extra element here, so this right here, this whitened corner, as well as whatever this dent is on the top, you're definitely looking at probably like an 8, like a 7 or an 8, just from those two dings. Yeah, it does still show on the ground. So you guys want to actually see what I'm talking about? Come on now. You didn't want me just to kind of talk you through it? Alright. So, back what I was saying. This is what I was looking at. Charizard EX. The centering's good on the front. Centering's good on the back. This is what they highlighted. So the bottom right, we have this white ding in the bottom, as well as this kind of indent on the top. Yeah, exactly, RQ. I was just keeping it to myself. You guys were talking crap about moths, and I wanted to, show my retaliation. Again, the dustier, the better. And then you make grilled cheese with mayonnaise and not butter. And you get to, if you agree with all those terms and conditions, you actually get to see what I'm reviewing. So, and if you like Chick-fil-A sauce. Those are the 3 criteria. But yeah, so going back to what I was talking about. So this dent and the whitened corner here, I don't think is going to get you the 10. That's for sure. I would be hard-pressed to say that it would even give you the 9. I'd probably say if that dent is pretty significant, you're probably looking at a 7. Maybe even a 6, because some dents, I have a card that has like the most mild dent you've ever seen, and the rest of the card is in immaculate condition, and it got a 6. So dents are pretty severe when it comes to grading. So you're probably looking at between like a 7 or a 6 just from the dent alone, just to keep in mind. But yeah. So probably around 7 or a 6, because again, the mayo on grilled cheese 10, this card 6. That's what I'm saying. There are so many people when I asked that question before, Michael, this is a Charizard EX that someone submitted. I have cards much worse than this as PSA 10s. Yeah, there was actually, let me see if I can find it. There was a card that someone submitted. Well, so they went through the grading process, or they went through this grading process, and it got a 10. Let me just pull it up real quick. It was this card. So this card was actually streamed during a grade review in the past. So this one got a 10, but if we look, see this white ding right here? This is what we thought was going to get. The only thing that was wrong with this card was this white edge right here that we were like, oh, it's going to get an 8. But it ended up getting the PSA 10. So there you go. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. I've definitely seen cards much worse and get 10s. And again, you want to be right in the wrong, you want to be wrong in the right direction. But yeah, that's a good example. So technically we were wrong when we said an 8 and it ended up getting a 10, but it is what it is. Oh. Seagill, that's why you can't. So Poke loves... So Poke, this is what I'm saying. Like, you're like an old-time Renaissance person. And, because you bring chickens around, you drink beer as though it's water, and you eat bread ends. Like... all you need is a sword and you're just like charging into battle at this point. The next one I'll send you pics. All right. But speaking of Renaissance, who here has ever gone to medieval times? That's what I want to know. Who are the true medieval times enjoyers? This is what's going to separate the people. Medieval times is... You're going Thursday? I got knighted on my birthday? Sick. My freshman year of high school? Queen was a baddie. I remember when I got knighted for one of my birthdays a few years ago, I was as tall, kneeling to get knighted, as tall as the princess was. So we were basically at the same height and I was kneeling. It was pretty crazy. First VIP. Yeah, all I'm going to say, chat, so here's some background lore real quick before I go to the final cards of the night, and then we'll kind of just figure out how tall am I? I'm 6 foot even. So some background lore. So I am a huge lover of medieval times and Renaissance fairs, and I can't tell you why, but I will always have this belief until the day I am no longer of this earth. If you ever go to medieval times, if you're gonna do it for anyone, do it for me, because I really want this to go as far as humanly possible. I absolutely despise the Blue Knight. Every fiber of my being will shit talk the Blue Knight every second that I have. I hate the Blue Knight. I always have. I always will. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just hate the Blue Knight. I have had people telling me that, oh, you're sitting in the section that you're actually teamed up with, like, so for example, one of the times I was the red and yellow knight team. I was booing the Blue Knight so hard that the Blue Knight came over, or no, the red and yellow knight came over and said, dude, the Blue Knight is on our team. And I said, no, he's not. He is not on my team. He can fall off of his horse for all I care. He is not a part of my team. I will always hate the Blue Knight. So if you guys ever go to medieval times or a Renaissance fair where they have jousting knights and one of them happens to be blue, remember this exact moment. If you're going to do it for anyone, do it for me. Always boo the blue. Boo the blue. Every time. I want that to carry on from generation to generation. So if you remember the slogan, boo the blue. You guys are OGs for that. I appreciate you. If you do it, I'll be forever in your debt if you boo against that horrific excuse of a knight. good. Blue Knight, all Blue Knight's good for is shoveling the manure after the games. That's all he does. He can't even joust. He can't even hit the rings. I hope when the hawk flies around, it just lays a fatty dump into whatever meal he's about to eat. That's how much I hate the Blue Knight. So if you guys want anything, next time you go to a Ren Fair in medieval times, for me, if you're gonna do it for anyone, do it for me. Just boo that Blue Knight to oblivion, because he does not earn the right in my eyes to be considered a medieval knight. Man, I'm getting heated. I gotta do a grade review. I'm getting too emotional about how bad that Blue Knight is. I'm 2 hours and 15 minutes away from it. There you go. That's what I'm saying. I'm about to go in on that stupid Blue Knight. Good, Mexicans. I love that. Next time I'll go, I'll record it. Amazing. Amazing. All right. So, speaking of knights, we have the Iron Valiant EX that essentially looks like a knight. All right. So this is from Statelier's submission. So let's take a look. So I think we can work with it. It's, like I said, it's modern. We can figure out most of them if they're going to be worth getting graded. But okay. So centering of this card, the front looks fine. I see really no problem with it. The back, again, it's a little bit blurry or like not as high quality, so it's a bit tough. So I'm really can only see like the centering. This left side does look a little bit thicker than the right, but not by much. So you might be 10-ish, but that if you get a 9, it's probably because of the centering on the back. Would be my guess. And here. So Hitmon Lee, another Master Ball from 151. Again, the Master Balls, a lot of people have been collecting those recently, so it's always cool to start seeing them. The bottom of this actually, I don't know if it's just the camera angle or what, but the bottom slightly looks thicker than the top. Not by much though, I don't think. But I think this would probably get a 9 because I'm also thinking that this left side is a little bit thicker than the right. But this one might get a 9, would be my guess. Yeah, Stanks, that's what I'm talking about too. Okay. So stat, that was the final card of the queue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a quick poll. So we're kind of in like the last segment here. So I'll do a quick poll. So we can either, so we'll do a quick poll again. I can either just kind of hit some random ones that I see in the grade review, or I can start a Pokemon or continue my Pokemon Crystal Nuzlocke for the next half hour. And just we can still chill and talk and whatever, but so smiley face is continue grade review, and then crying emoji is do Pokemon Crystal Nuzlocke. So the poll is active. So again, smile is continue the grade review in the order, and then crying is to continue the Pokemon Crystal Hardcore Nuzlocke. All right. I don't need to keep the poll going. I think I understand what you guys. See, the Blue Knight would never do this. The Blue Knight would just dive in. He would see the unanimous vote of 7-0, and he would immediately go into Pokemon Crystal because he doesn't know how to read or look at numbers and what one's higher or lower. So I am not the Blue Knight. So I am for the people. So let me just look at the queue here. Just give me 1 second. So let's see. So I'm just going to just make sure that I don't grade review the same card twice, because we're kind of in like the bonus stage here. I just have to mark what I've reviewed, so just give me 1 second. And honestly, I am going to just kind of scroll here. So I kind of want one like in the middle-ish, kind of. Let's see. The Blue Knight would say he was going to play some Pokemon, then boot up Digimon. See, Famine, you are now getting it. You're now getting it. Let's see. Sent something in Discord. I'm not too sure what your name... I don't know what your name in Discord is. Unless it's Rug. But... Honori, if I'm saying that right. Let's see. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything in the grade review for you. If you want to just confirm if it is or not. I'm going to look at this Poncho Pikachu real quick. But I'll hit yours next, though. Alright. Let's see. Poncho Pikachu, huh? Let us see. Let us see. So the first thing I see... So I actually gotta... Again, I literally just said I have to do this, and I'm going to do it right now. All right, so checked and checked. Okay, so Young Plaque says expecting a 5 or 6 because of the scratches, indents, creases that doesn't go through in the back, where the back has some slight whitening on the edges. Worth the $30 to send in or keep raw. So I can't comment on like the price. That's more of like the price discussion part of it. So all I can really do for now is just kind of measure like what it would get as a grade. So right off the bat, if this is a crease, which I think you're talking about on the front, creases alone will set you back into like starting at a 6 for sure. It does look slightly thicker on the bottom than it does the top. And that might be a scratch by the eye. But from this angle, that's all I see so far. And I think this was the other, this was the other picture that you showed to highlight that crease. And it is pretty big. I'm not going to lie to you. So we're probably, for me, it's probably going to take some back. And then on the back, we do have some whitening on the top, the left corner, that left edge, the bottom corner, on the left and the right, and the right side. But the real big thing is that crease on that right side. Even though, yeah, like, does it not pop through on the back? Yes. But it is on the front, and it kind of comes into what I kind of talk about as like the 5th grading criteria, which is eye appeal. And I can tell you with certainty, my eye immediately got drawn to that corner. So let me start a poll for chat. So what do you guys think this Poncho Rayquaza Pikachu would get? So again, really the big thing that I see on the front is this crease on the side, on the right side, a scratch above the eyeball on the left eye of the Pikachu. Here's another angle of Young kind of highlighting that crease on the right side, as well as some whitening on the back. So on the top edge, the corners, the left edge, and the right edge, we see some. But yeah. Let's see. Just catching up with chat here. It's under media. Yeah, if you want to just move it into the grade review, it just makes it easier for me just to stay consistent. because that's what the grade review channel is for specifically. Media is kind of like just generic stuff. That way we just keep it fair for everyone. It might sound annoying, but it just makes it easier for me just to kind of keep track of everything. I appreciate it. Yeah, it does hurt, Famine, for sure. It definitely hurts. Killjet, I did look at your Lucario. It was one of the first ones we did. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember what we gave it. I'll just have to look at the VOD. I really can't remember. But all right. So chat on average is thinking a 7 or 6. 7 or 6. There we go. Okay, so what do I think this Rayquaza Poncho would get? So first is the centering. Centering is not bad, from what I can tell. So on the surface, this is what we're really focused on, is this crease right here, which is in the magnifier, as well as some scratch above the left eye here, like staring at the Pikachu, this left eye. And as we flip it over, we do have some slight whitening on the top edge, the left edge, and the right edge. We also have some slight whitening on the top left corner and the bottom right corner. But again, really the big thing that we have to consider is the crease being very predominant on the front of the card. Like, does it not go through? Yes, it does not go all the way through, but eye appeal is a huge component of like that kind of subgrade within surface grade. So for me personally, which is how large that crease is, I would probably have to say a 5 would be my honest opinion. Because I just think that if you look at that and someone said, oh, it's light play, I would just be very hesitant to call a crease of that size light play. I'd probably say mod play or PSA 5 would be my guess. But it's all good, Killjet. Oh, the of the silvering. Hold on, let me just, again, since I don't have these planned, I just have to make sure that I have everyone's marked as reviewed. Okay, so so next up in the grade review, we have the I forgot who was saying it, because I saw yours next in the grade review. Why can't I find you? Arctic, yeah. Okay. So I'll Pikachu Gold Star, huh? So I was looking at this initially, and even though it's in a top loader and sleeve, since you're in here, I'll try to do my best. If it was blurrier, I definitely would have asked you to resend these, but I think we should be good. But Arctic, I think you're fine. I think really we'll just have to have you, because I think we should be fine. I'll let you know. If you're going to be in here for a little bit, I'll let you know. Because I'm going to look at, because I just saw, let's see. No. I thought I saw a notification in the grade review. So bottom and top are, it's like something about it looks off center to me, but I can't put my finger on it. bust out the ruler. So those of you who don't know, I actually put a ruler on my monitor here. Let's see. It almost looks like slightly thicker on the left than the right, but it might just be the angle of the camera or of the picture. I'd say overall centering is good. And then based off of what I can see for the hollow, it's fine. Again, we're only just looking at the one picture. However, I'm assuming most of that fuzz is on the top loader, which again I probably should ask you to take these again, but it's fine. Because I'm assuming those are mostly on the top loader. So we do have some whitening on that left edge and some whitening on the bottom left and on the bottom left corner and the bottom left. As well as the top right. But just to not make it confusing for chat, I'll probably just give my assessment on this one. Just seeing. Let's see. Yeah, Rug, do you mind just uploading it in the grade review, please? I know it's kind of a pain to ask, but it just helps me out a lot. So I don't have to jump around. I know it sounds tedious. I know it sounds like I'm kind of nitpicking it, but I just appreciate it. So I would say, let's see. So if you only see 2 channels, you just have to make sure that you went through the verification process. But I don't want to take away from it. I'll look in a second. I'll make the exception. So I would say, just from the whitening that I can tell on the side, you're probably looking at a 7, would be my guess. Just from the whitening on that left side. Because again, I don't want to have chat review this because on stream there's all these bunch of fuzzies and all this stuff all over it, on the top loader. But I'd say just from this left edge and these 2 dings in the bottom left, I'm probably would say a 7 for this Pikachu Gold Star. So for the Gyarados Gold Star, centering on this actually looks good. And then based off of the hollow, there's nothing I can tell, so that should be fine. So let's flip it on over. As for the back, I'm not sure if this is either a camera illusion or a lighting effect or what, but this looks severely whitened. Arctic, if you want to comment at least about this one, this top left back corner, I don't know if that's just light or if that's whitening or what. I'm not too sure. On the Gyarados Gold Star, I'm not too sure. But the left edge looks good, and the right edge looks good. So this left edge looks really clean. This right edge looks really clean. Arctic, yeah, it's for sure whited a lot. Okay, so that's gonna take away from some of the corner stuff for sure. But the front looks really good. I just think that this left side is really gonna kind of hold you back. I don't really think it's bad enough for light play, especially how good the rest of the card is. So based off of that, and based off of what I can see with these pictures with the top loader and the sleeve and everything, I'd probably say a 7 for this one. Just judging off of what I'm saying. A couple people told me to cut that off. I don't know about that. I have no idea if you should do that or not, especially with a card of this magnitude. I probably wouldn't put any, because I'm thinking realistically they're probably telling you to put an X-Acto knife to shave off that white edge. But if they catch that, or if you're doing that wrong and they catch that as being altered, you're kind of SOL. So I probably, if it were me, I probably wouldn't. But I'd probably just compare it to what Near Mint versus a PSA 7 would cost, and that's how I'd kind of determine what I would do. But yeah. And let me just make sure I got this one. Where did yours go? So Gengi or Arctic. Appreciate you submitting both the Pikachu Gold Star and the Gyarados Gold Star. Really cool cards to submit for sure. So hopefully that kind of helped you out. Again, it was kind of loosey goosey because we had again, this is really kind of like bonus round grade review. I'm just kind of grading like people who only submitted like 1 or 2 cards that are actually in chat because we're basically at like the 7 minutes left mark. But now, oh nice, Ray, you were able to find the grade review. Nice. So let me load these up for you. Nice. Cool. Southern Islands, honestly, probably one of my favorite side sets of all time. Let's see. Lorenzo. I did only 1 or 2. All right, so what we'll do, just to make it fair for everyone, so I'll do Rugs and then Lorenzo's. Those are the final 3. So it is the bonus grading for people who are here. It's if you didn't sneak in, sorry. Again, this is like very last minute. You guys voted you wanted to keep doing grade review, so this is very like candid. So we're going to do Rugs and then Lorenzo's, and then we're gonna just kind of wrap it up and tell you what's planned and what's next for you guys to pay attention to for upcoming streams and announcements and stuff. Because we hit over 6,000 followers, which is insane. So I have some cool announcements that I want to make too. So, okay. So the front of this card, pretty scratched for sure. All right here on the bottom left. Centering's good though, but it's just the scratches that are just taking this back. Let's see. Yeah, I saw yours, Justin. Yours. The reason why I didn't pick yours, and this is totally, like the decision, don't like the decision. It's not like any personal offense, but yours is super close to the top of next week anyway. That you're going to be one of the first people I look at for next grade review. Don't take it as me kind of picking on you or belittling what you were saying as being next. You just have 3. You have the trio, but rest assured, you're definitely going to be first for next week. So yeah, no, I appreciate the patience. I know it's kind of you want your cards graded. I get it, but I appreciate you understanding. And again, you'll be first in line for next week. You're literally in my queue for next week. This left edge, pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. So yeah. Do I ever recommend that Kurtz stuff? So if you're just talking about, so if I just speak out loud, if you're just talking about card wax, I do not recommend card wax. That is just my honest opinion. It's considered alterations, and I'm not in the business of altering cards to sell or grade or anything like that. You can do it for your personal stuff if you have no intention. I feel like that's totally fine. But for me as a business trying to grade and sell, it's just something. It's too much of a risk that I'm not willing to take. Okay, so let me restart this Mew poll. So the poll is live if you want to think weigh in on what this Mew would get. A lot of the scratching, and this card as a PSA 10 is worth a ton of money because exactly this reason. A lot of surface wear on the front of this Mew. And then on the back, we have a ton of whitening, as well as some dirt blemishes that we can probably get cleaned with a Q-tip and microfiber cloth and water. But it is pretty rough for sure. Especially with all this scratching in the bottom right hand corner. So again, if you want to vote, the poll should be active. You should see it in the top left hand corner of your device. Yeah, that is a good chunk. Jess, we are doing free grade review. So people submit their cards into the Discord for free and we review them on stream. Brian, thanks so much for the follow. And for those of you who have been following and sharing and liking the lives, if I missed you, I definitely apologize. It's much love. I really appreciate all the support. The support for this stuff has been incredible. You guys have been awesome, so I really do appreciate it. Kev, thanks so much for the follow. Thanks so much. All right, so we have a pretty wide range, but we had this before. So I'm going to say chat was, because I don't think anyone would think that's 7, or I say 7 and I put it in there. So 6 to 4 was the range. Yeah, Poke, you're a moderator. So since moderators don't have the ability to vote, unfortunately. Jess, I'll explain it after this, after I review the Mew. Okay, so what do I think this Mew would get? So centering is actually really good. The only thing taking it back is a lot of these scratches on this right side. You can see all of them all around. If we flip it over, we also see a lot of, a lot of whitening on the left corner, the top left and top right corner, the edges. So I would probably say for this, if there was any creases, like a little bit more, or like any subtle creases, it'd probably get a 4, in my opinion, like heavy play. But my opinion, I'm probably leaning, because I think you can probably clean these. This black spot and this black spot, you can probably get those cleaned. Because I think, again, just with the picture on the front and the back, I'm leaning more towards a 5. But with these dots being here, I'm probably leaning more towards a 4 now that I think about it. I'm really on the fence. Normally, if I'm on the fence between a 5, like between two numbers, I tend to go with the number lower. So if this were my card, I'd probably think that I'd be okay with this getting a 4, in my opinion, just because of how severe the scratching is on the front, as well as how predominant this left edge is here, as well as on the top with all this like dirt and gunk. If we can get rid of the dirt and gunk and the scratches aren't that bad, you can probably bump it up to a 5. But in my opinion, it's on the fence of 5 or 4, but I'm probably leaning more towards 4, in my honest opinion. But yeah, of course. Probably just wouldn't send that in. Yeah, I mean, it all depends, right? Like at the end of the day, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about is kind of like a like antique roadshow style of grade review that will kind of go more in depth on whether or not, like, now you know what the grade is going to be. Like, is it actually worth sending in? It all depends on what your goals are. Hey, I appreciate that, Adam. Thanks so much. And Duck, thanks so much for liking the live. Appreciate you. All right, so who was Lorenzo? So let me just make sure that I got that marked as graded. And this is going to be the last batch because we are over 10 o'clock. And I need to drink water. I've been yapping for almost 3 hours. All right. So you had Pokevolve Inc. Appreciate the follow. Oh yes, thank you, Jess. I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. So if you go to my page, you should see a pinned video with a thumbnail called Grade Review and How To. It's being shown on the screen now. If you give that a watch, it's about a 45-second video. It'll give you all of the instructions on how to join the Discord and submit your cards for free in the Grade Review channel. So as long as you follow the instructions in there, your cards will be added to the queue. So grade reviews are every Wednesday for starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern until around this time, so 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, so about 3 hours. And so I try to get the minimum of 25, and then if, depending on if chat wants to continue or not, we kind of just like go with the flow. But it is based off of a queue system during the normal 2-hour block. And then I kind of gauge whether or not we want to keep going or not after the fact. So I definitely appreciate everyone's patience who I know, again, it's just me doing this. I definitely I didn't expect this to be so popular, if I'm going to be very honest with you, because normally like informative content doesn't do that well. in spaces like this. So the feedback has been amazing. I really do appreciate you guys. Even honestly, like the big thing that I'm really appreciative of is that you guys actually, you know, even care about my opinion and chat's opinion. So it definitely means a lot for sure. Because you could go to anyone else to get their opinion, but you choose to get mine, and it definitely means a lot. So let's see. Lorenzo. Let's see. Lorenzo, if you're still here, can you remind me what your cards were? Because I don't know what your... Oh, there it is. The Gold Star, Jolteon, and Korokoro. Thank you. It would help if I just read your chat. Reading. Unlike the Blue Knight, I can actually read. All right. So get rid of this. And boom. Jess and Garvin, thanks so much for the follows. Appreciate you. And Chris, thanks so much for the follow. I don't know if I missed you or not. So yeah, Jess, hopefully that answered your question about how to submit. If it didn't, or if you missed it, just let me know. Zen, thanks so much for liking the live. Appreciate you. All right. So next batch and final batch of the night is going to be the Lost Elephant on Discord. So we got Jolteon Gold Star, my personal favorite of the Pokemon. I am basic. I am an enjoyer of one of the evolutions. It is what it is. I'll take that. So the front of this card, there does appear to be a bend right here. I don't know if you guys can see it on stream, but it kind of looks like a bend here. This looks to be a lighting thing. I'm not too sure there. Based off of the angle, the scratches, no scratches based off of the angle. And there's the bend. So there's that bend I was talking about on the front. So so it was present here on the left side, and we flip it over, it's on the right. So that's that bend that we were seeing kind of translate over. That left corner, pretty bad. The bottom left and the bottom right, pretty bad. Man, that crease is really what's going to take you back for sure. So yeah, let's see what chat thinks. I just started a new poll for the Jolteon Gold Star. If you want to take a vote in there, it should be popped up on your device now. I think it's in the top left-hand corner of the phone. So if you want to vote, now's your chance to do so. So yeah, I'm thinking got a 1 vote, 3 or lower, not surprising. We have 1, 5 or 4. Again, I'm looking at the poll. If you guys want to vote in there. Yeah, that crease is pretty rough. I am not gonna lie to you. It's unfortunate. Like, that's all I can say is very unfortunate. But I get it. These cards are extremely old. Yeah, less than 3. You guys are pretty much on it. For sure. No love, unfortunately. I wish. The less than 3. So, what do I think? Space, thanks so much for the follow. Very fitting for the channel. I'm a big advocate of space. Welcome. 6 in your eyes. That makes sense, because you've been up... It's like 5 a.m. to you. So I definitely understand you haven't slept yet, so that makes sense. Okay. What do I think this Jolteon Gold Star would get? So I saw the bend here in the left. And then from what I can tell, I can't really see any scratches. I'm sure they're there, but just based off of the lighting, I can't really tell, so I can't really critique it. But if we flip it over, there is a ton to talk about. So we have the crease that kind of pops up in the back, a lot of whitening all around the edges. So it's definitely not a 4. It's lower than that, in my opinion. I think for this one, I think that if there was like one more crazy crease, it'd probably be a 2. But I think in this case, in my opinion, it'd probably be a 3. So I think if there was like one more big crease, it'd probably get into that 2 range. But just by the front, looks a little bit cleaner. But again, it might be picture. There might be more to this than meets this picture. If there was a lot more scratches or something that we're not seeing, it'd definitely be a 2. But 3 most likely. I don't think it could be a 1. I think there has to be a lot more damage to it, in my opinion. But again, I don't really grade 1s, if I'm just going to be honest with you. So I don't personally have data to support my accuracy in 1s. So, I mean, if you're going to submit it, I mean, might as well. But I don't think it's that bad to have it be a 1. Jojo, thanks so much for following. I appreciate that. All right, so the final card is the Koro Mew. I think this is the second or third that we've actually seen and reviewed on this stream. But my favorite, personally, I don't care because this is my favorite Mew card art for sure. Again, picture suggests that there is no scratches on the hollow, but I don't think that's true. Only because I see some silvering on this left edge. See a scratch here by the ending character of the Mew's name. Let's flip it over. Honestly, like, not terrible. There is some, like, weird blemishes here and some light whitening on the back, but really not that bad. It's really, I mean, definitely not as bad as the Jolteon for sure. But, yeah, all in all, like, not terrible. Let's start a poll and see what chat thinks. PokeMax, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate you. But yeah, the Jolteon was much worse. It was definitely much worse for sure. But again, really the only thing I saw on this was the scratch at the ending character, some silvering on this left edge. And if we flip it over, not really too much other than like just some surface stuff on the back, some whitening on that left edge, some whitening in the bottom right corners. Brandon, thanks so much for the follow and appreciate the kind words. Yeah, this is a free service that I like to provide to folks, so I definitely enjoy doing it. And honestly, I don't own like 90% of these cards, so it's cool to just look at them, to be honest. All right, so poll is done. Chat, on average, thinks it's a 7 or a 6. So I'm probably thinking chat's thinking more 6, because I don't think this is near mid by any means. But, okay, so what do I think the Koro Mew would get? Centering is good on the front. There is some silvering on the left edge, like I was highlighting before. There is a scratch on the front, which is something we have to still consider. But as we flip it over, the big thing that might need some clarification. If this is a ding or a bend or a crease, this is definitely going to probably put it into like a 5, possibly a 4. I'm not too sure. But if not, I'm not gonna focus on it. There is some whitening here on the left edge as well as the bottom left and right corner. But not too bad. Not too bad at all. So I would say if this is a crease or a ding or something, a blemish. Okay, so if it's a blemish, you're probably looking at just like some more surface stuff. Hoping you can probably get cleaned. If the lighting makes it look really bad, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it's as bad as what I'm seeing in the picture, you're probably looking at a 5, because that's pretty, like this right here, what I'm highlighting is pretty significant. This doesn't look as bad, but if it's not as bad, then I'd probably say a 6. So 5, if it's as bad as what I see. Oh, nope, that's the wrong number. So it's a 5 if it's as bad as I'm seeing, but if it's not, it'd probably be a 6. But it suggested that it's a lighting thing, would be my guess. So chat 7-6, and then my grade as a 6. Whew, chat. We made it over 3 hours. That was a ton. Not only was it a ton of fun, but it was a ton of grade reviews, and I am so appreciative that you guys even like having a backlog. I mean, obviously, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword because to be honest, I didn't think this was going to be as popular as it is. So anytime you guys say that this is like informative and entertaining, whatever, it's awesome. I really appreciate it. Garen, thanks so much for the follow. I think you got some more in you. I honestly, I just have to get ready for work tomorrow because this is just like a side business, side job that I do. I really wish I could, but you know, call me a part-timer. call me a part-time streamer. It is what it is. But how much is the Korokoro Mew? This is not my card to sell. This is so if you're joining for the first time, this is just when we review the where we just simply review cards for free. Yeah, I'm not these aren't actually my cards. I just help kind of assess like, hey, you know, this is, you know, so and so's card, this is what we think it'd be graded as. But yeah. Can you show rest of the how you guys doing? Lord, I was actually about to wrap up. We just we're like 15 minutes over when I normally end because I gotta start getting ready for work tomorrow. But right now I'm just kind of trying to wrap up, but you guys are the hell is that? A paper crane. Nice. I honestly don't even know how much that is. Or like the donuts and the roses. Like, I definitely appreciate it, but yeah, so I don't actually, so this shop has stuff. I actually don't own a grading company. I've just been doing this since I've been grading cards since 2017. The one thing that I have been doing is I keep track of how accurate my grades are. So what I do is I just translate that over into streaming and reviewing, you know, like, cause I've tried measuring my accuracy for years, and I figured this was a fun, cool way to offer something free to the community that's interested in getting their cards assessed without having to pay someone to do it. I think it's like a good, fun, free thing to provide to the community. It seems like you guys really enjoy it. Paper crane. I do have an Instagram, yeah. DB, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. Paper crane 99. Like, what, 99? Like, I really want to emphasize Zen. I personally have no idea what that translates to. In terms of monetary value. I'm going to be very transparent with you. I think I'm not trying to like not show, like, I'm very appreciative of any donations that I get. It's like $1 if that. Okay. I just don't want to sound like I'm not appreciative of any donation amount. First and foremost, regardless on if it's like a penny or, you know, I get tiny dinies from Poke all the time. I definitely appreciate it. All it does is just goes back into, you know, TikTok and all that stuff. But yeah, no, I definitely appreciate it. I definitely appreciate anything that's donated. It really does mean a lot. It just goes back into the stream because honestly, I'm just too lazy to withdraw it for taxes, so I just keep it in TikTok. What's left in queue? Show the chat. That would be cool. Let's see. I can just like scroll real quick because I'm not trying to like. The vibes are immaculate, and I wish I could stay longer, but I really do need to start getting ready for work tomorrow. Let me see, because I'm also afraid because my scenes aren't set up because I don't want to dox anyone for like DMs. my scene transitions aren't ready for Discord. So yeah. That's a cool Mew. Where can you get that? That was from like a magazine promo back in the day, I'm pretty sure. But yeah. Honestly, guys, I'm in like such awe. The amount of support, I keep saying this like a broken record, but I really want to emphasize like how much I appreciate you guys. I never thought, I feel like I say this every end of stream. I never thought this stuff would get as popular as it is. And you guys like really, really eager of me doing this stuff. Again, I do this as like a small business part-time. It's just a fun way because there's not a lot of people near me that like this style of content or just like sharing this hobby. I definitely appreciate the feedback. It really is cool to look at really cool, amazing cards in addition to having you guys respect and take into consideration what I assess cards at. It really does. The fact that you have that confidence in me to a degree is really humbling. I really appreciate it. And I'm so stoked to continue going. So for those of you who have made it to the end, some of the stuff, this is why I wanted to kind of wrap it up because there's some stuff I want to talk about since we finally hit over 6K followers on TikTok, which is, I never thought that would happen. And if you asked me a year ago, I thought it would be crazy. So some of the stuff that I'm going to be working on, one of the things that I am working on is almost like a grading cleaning service, as well as some upgraded versions of grade review, which is currently in the works on the back end. There's some behind the scenes stuff that I'm trying to iron out, but more to come on that. So we're definitely going to keep leaning into the grade review and seeing different avenues on how we can make it better, for sure. So yeah, the more feedback you guys can provide me with some of those surveys that because I really want this to be something that you guys thoroughly enjoy and find valuable. So any feedback is super appreciative. I try to take into consideration as much of it as I can. So yeah, I definitely appreciate all the love, all the support. It really does mean a lot. And yeah, once more, if you guys are interested in having your cards reviewed on stream, this is the thumbnail that you'll see as a pinned video of my channel. It's called Grade Review and How To. It's about a 45-second video. It'll tell you everything you need to know. Again, it's a completely free service. All it will tell you is to join Discord and the proper channel to submit your cards for free grade. The queue you can kind of see in there, and you can kind of see what each. I try to react to every picture that I see, so you have an idea on where your card is in the grade review process in terms of the queue. So yeah. So that's pretty much it, guys. Definitely appreciate all the love, all the donations. Zen, Poke, and everyone else that I might have missed. I think those are the only two. I definitely appreciate it. Appreciate the love. And yeah, more details, more updates, more news coming. If you haven't followed the TikTok, that's where I post most of the updates, as well as in the Discord. So you guys are awesome as always. I appreciate the support. I cannot express that any more than if I tried to. And for those of you who remember, the Blue Knight is awful from Medieval Times. If you ever go to Medieval Times or Renaissance Fair, boo the absolute shit out of the Blue Knight. He is the worst knight ever made. He will always be trash. Yeah, if you're ever going to go to Medieval Times or Renaissance Fair, boo the shit out of the Blue Knight. He's awful, trash. He needs to go back to cleaning the stalls. He'll always be bad. All right, that's my rant. I'm done. Good night. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.